of like, at least that's where woke has come from. That's what woke looks like. It looks like alternative subcultures. So
to that point, everyone has the image in their head of the blue-haired piercings.
It used to be cool.
Yeah, and exactly. You know,
this all used to be cool. It's not cool anymore.
Yeah,
and that's the whole point.
It's like, not cool anymore. The blue-haired piercing. I have tattoos on my face, and spikes on my jacket that are so well placed. You know, that jacket came that way, didn't it? He did not put those on himself. I could tell. I could just see it, you know. Jeez. But this guy, he's here to tell us about how how wokeness just ruined punk rock. And it's just, you know,
like, make goth cool again is what I'm trying to say.
Ever since
goth. Now it's goth too, I guess.
Ever since you could go to the mall and get your tongue or septum or ears pierced, get
septum piercing
or a facial piercing. If you can go to the mall and get studs put into your cheek, it's no longer underground. It's no longer counterculture.
Yeah, because the mall makes it not counterculture. Okay.
I mean, that stuff was relatively inoffensive when you really it's all superficial, you know, like these piercings can be taken out, tattoos can be removed.
Oh, look at that. Look, there's the punk rock, but they're woke, but they're not. They don't like that wokeness is tied to the look of punk rock, so it must, you know.
But of course now there's with the woke movement there has been a far more permanent addition to a lot of the ideologies, which is obviously the gender ideologies that has
okay. Yeah, that's not about you for the moment. All right. Let's see here. How's everybody doing? Feeling okay? Doing all right? You're looking good. Everybody that I've seen come in so far looks very good. 2 of you. But you know, I don't do that countdown business, so it make 3 of you. Hey, what's up? All right. So today we are talking about Tim Pool's show, where Tim Pool's not there for some reason, but he got his weirdo crew, one of which is the lead singer of vocalist, we'll go with that, of All That Remains, which was kind of disappointing because I did actually like one of their songs back in the day. And it was weird because it seemed like it was saying that Trump was insane. He was, you know, it was madness, everything that was going on in the White House. And that turns out he liked the madness. It was good madness. I don't know. Anyway, but that's the song I liked by them. It's called Madness. Anyway, and he's going to be talking with these clowns about why wokeness destroyed punk. So yeah, I gotta, you know, I have to weigh in. It's just, you know, it's just what we got to do. But yeah, so anyway, I am Brentley, and this is the Punk Apostate. Let's go. Hold up. Where's the... God damn it, Kevin. Can you get it together, Kevin? Jesus Christ. We're actually live. You can't just be messing up like that, man. You know, we're trying to do it. Oh, wait, we're back. Hey, what's up? We're talking about this guy. So let me take it back to the beginning. And this guy is so punk, but I guess he's not punk. He's goth or something. I'm very confused. I don't know.
The bearskin hoodie, right? 1% off for this black.
No, thank you.
It starts pouring.
So he just starts out with an ad. Okay.
After seasons, click it whenever you adders.
Counterculture.
Okay, so there's the All That Remains guy, and he's going to say things that are wrong. Ready?
The metal, goth, industrial scenes. We've got Jake Monroe and Brian from Gasoline Industrial. Can you guys go ahead and, I'm sorry, Gasoline Invertebrate, my apologies.
Either one.
Gasoline Industrial Invertebrate. Who cares? It's stupid.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves. Tell the Crowd, what's your deal?
Crowd,
Sure.
I don't know how to do. Usually Tim's here to do this part of I'm just kind of a reply guy to Tim, and he's the guy. I'm the reply guy that replies to the guy that is anyway.
I am Jake Monroe. I am a serial disruptor of the alternative subcultures of the moment.
A good one. Serial disruptor. Is that the name of your album that you're working on, buddy?
Most hated man in these countercultures,
Highly doubt that.
and proudly so. I can't wait to be even more irritating after
What is he, like the lead singer, a Screwdriver or something? What's going on here?
this podcast.
Perfect. Brian?
Hey, what's up? My name is Brian Graupner. Do a couple industrial bands, the Gossicles, Gasoline Invertebrate. Do a Space Couch podcast called Space Couch.
I do a Space Couch podcast called. Well, I'm nervous. I'm not. I do a pod space. Fuck, what does it do? Wow, this is hard.
Affiliated with Goths Against Cancel Culture, as founded by Crucifera. And I am a massive fan of everybody in this room. This is like the coolest thing I've ever
I'm a
done.
big fan of you too, man.
Okay, guys, let's suck each other off later. Okay.
Awesome. And we got Kellen here pushing the buttons.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn my camera on,
I guess that would probably be too woke. They're probably against the sucking off.
but I'm here too, and let's get into it, guys. I know nothing about like this culture. I've been to a few raves, but
Well, that's good because I know everything.
perfect.
Well, it's a good thing you're here because
Can't wait.
All right. So, like I said before, there is a common refrain that you're hearing that woke is dead, that people are tired of it. And I don't know if that's
the guy running back. Hold on. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys. I gotta get the cord for the thing is back. Shit.
actually the truth. And so I'd be interested in hearing, particularly in counterculture spaces, right? Like, I feel like that's where
I'm sorry. Okay. The last time. I'm sorry.
kind of woke really started to get its legs under itself is in counterculture spaces and places online when there used to be an underground. I'm strongly of the opinion there is no longer an underground, that the underground is the idea of an underground is basically been vaporized because of the internet. It used to be where you'd have to go and find things, like you have to actually physically go to a place to interact with people that have counterculture ideas or that in a space that you consider the underground.
You can still there are still those places, buddy. I guess nobody's told you. Those spaces still exist, and get this, now they also have websites. That's it. Like the places that you can go also include websites that they got their QR codes. That's it. It's the same thing, just more QR codes.
Now it's just a few clicks away, but the idea that woke is actually done is something that like I said, I would push back against. And I think that you guys probably agree, but I'd like to hear your opinion and your experience.
I mean,
It's so weird. It's like I don't understand like what, because they're so like their brain is so deep, especially on this show. And this is literally called the Culture War. It's like Tim Pool's show called the Culture War, which is basically just the Tim Pool show. I don't know what even the distinction is. Maybe it's a different length of time or something like that, but seems exactly the same to me. But he's saying like, oh, there's like all this chatter online of people saying woke is gone. There's no, and I would push back against that. What the hell? Y'all are the only people that use that word anymore. You ruined it. You wrecked it. Of course, because it's something that was created by the Black community to basically just be like, hey, is this person like understanding to like minority groups and the marginalized and things like that? Do they understand our perspective, or are they like actively trying to not understand hard, which would be ignorance or just racism a lot of times? But and he's like, that's gone, that doesn't exist anymore. But I would push back, because otherwise, well, then I got nothing to really complain about, and that's sort of been my entire bag for the last ever.
woke being dead definitely refers to the mainstream spaces. There's definitely been a sort of societal rejection of things like with movies and TV shows. Like, we don't want this in here anymore. You have like these
Us white guys, okay, we are tired of seeing people that don't look like us for the last few years. Before that, it was cool because, everybody looked like us and all the movies and everything. But for the past couple of years, there's been too many not me looking like people.
Serial flops
Yeah, I said that right.
from movies and stuff like that. And there's a societal rejection of this. However, it is now...
Does he have an airplane? Is it an airplane on his face? Like, what the hell is that, dude? Like, what is... You give me a cross, like right here on my face, right under my eye. Okay, yeah, that's great.
Shifting to its last bastion, which is alternative subcultures, because like you said, Phil, it has always had an aspect of like, at least that's where woke has come from. That's what woke looks like. It looks like alternative subcultures. So
to that point, everyone has the image.
Like, first of all, I don't even know what. I wish they would explain what the hell they mean by woke in the first place. But to me, it just seems like every time they use that word, it is just anybody that is drawing attention to, they're basically just advocating for themselves. That's it. Anybody that's not white, straight, cisgendered, Christian, and conservative. Anybody else advocating for their selves and their rights and things like that. That's woke. That's bad. Now, when it's Christian and a white guy and all that type of stuff, then it's just, it's just fighting the power that is the powerless. But it's all the same.
In their head of the blue-haired piercings.
It used to be cool.
Yeah, and
It used to be cool. Look at you right now. Look at you right now, dude.
Exactly.
It's like that's why I keep my hair its natural color, because that is actually rebelling against the rebellion, which makes me like a rebel squared motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Well, it used to be cool. It's not cool anymore.
Yeah,
and that's the whole point. Make goth cool again is what I'm trying to say.
ever since you could go to the mall.
Okay, goth was never cool. All right, we just kind of let those guys hang out because they didn't have anywhere else to go. And some of them were all right. Sometimes they're pretty emotional. Sometimes they just sit in the corner and cry. And, we would just go over and rub their back a little bit. Hey, buddy, you want to get some aggression out in a mosh pit? And they'd be, really? You want to? Yeah, come on, let's go do it. Yeah. And then they would feel a lot better. So, then they'd end up being punk at some point down the line. But they had to get into a few mosh pits and turn that sadness into rage. And that's when you really embrace the punk.
And get your tongue or septum or ears pierced, get
septum piercing
or a facial piercing. If you can go to the mall and get studs put into your cheek, it's no longer underground. It's no longer counterculture.
Yeah.
Why? What? Define it, man. Like what? Because you could do it in the mall. I mean, so what? Do you think that there's been no subculture or counterculture since what? The fucking 80s? How old are you, man?
I mean, that stuff was relatively inoffensive when you really... it's all superficial, like these...
I mean, that was right at the right... Okay, so and it's kind of funny because what I used to be into was punk, but I was like a Christian too. So it's just kind of funny, right? But it was right around the time that Hot Topic and stuff like that kicked in really, really hard there. And so... But I don't know, where were y'all at? Do you all remember this? So that was around 2000. I'm 41. So it was 2003, something like that. That was when I graduated. So right around that time was, I think, when Hot Topic kind of came out. And we, of course, thought Hot Topic was stupid. We didn't like it. But now, as time, and it's cheap. That's my biggest complaint about Hot Topic is it's cheap. The stuff they sell is pretty cool, but you can get way better versions of that stuff. I mean, I'm really lucky. I live in a city that had a thriving punk scene for decades. So we have all these cool counterculture stores and stuff that you can go to downtown St. Pete, but a lot of people don't have that, I guess, but you got to just order it online. But for the people that, don't want to order stuff online or whatever, and, don't have that thriving punk scene for the past decades, they can go to a place like Hot Topic and you can get the stuff. and they got some pretty decent stuff. You know, like I said, it's just cheap. It's just, you know, that's my biggest complaint about it. But how's everybody doing? You doing okay? Y'all feeling all right? Who won today? Let me see. Drusilla won. What's up, Drusilla? How you doing? That's so cool. You see a purple? I got the purple going now, right? I couldn't get purple to work for some reason, and I figured it out. You know what I had to do? I had to put blue on that one and red on that one. And when they mix together, it's, you know, purple. It's a science. You know what I mean? It's awesome. Anyway, who else we got here? Drusilla is first. Michael, what's up, dude? Michael Bell second. Bring it on. Hell yeah. Just like that cheerleader movie. Right? Wasn't that a cheerleader? Anyway, I think it was. Weirdo. What's up, Weirdo? How we doing, dude? Hell yeah. Love this dude. All right. It's such a great name, you know? Excellent. All right. Who else we got? Oh, cruise ship. What's up, cruise ship? How we doing? He said, I don't understand what is supposed to be wrong with being awake or awakened. Yeah, no, you can't. You got to be asleep and stupid. That's got to be, that is the American conservative way, you know? But all right, Jill, we'll get going. I felt bad because I feel like I kind of like was stepping on some toes. I'm going a little bit earlier than I usually do. So hopefully I'm not stepping on too many toes here with other streams that they got going on, you know?
Piercings can be taken out, tattoos can be removed, but of course now with the woke movement there has been a far more permanent addition to a lot of the ideologies, which is obviously the gender ideologies that has been introduced, which I think
trans people were literally at the beginning of the punk scene, like straight up, like that was part of where punk came from. They started it. And of course now my mind's going blank on the name of the bands, but it was, you know, I want to say in like LA, at like the very beginning. And it went from, a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people think that like punk started in England. It didn't. It started in LA, and I think in either LA or New York. I'm having a hard time remembering. But I think it was LA though. And it moved from LA to Britain, and they took it and fashioned it up like a motherfucker. Like their whole they took and did all the clothes and stuff. Like here it was more about like just like the attitude and everything. And it was just kind of plain looking, you know, like a ripped t-shirt, some jeans, that's it. You're screaming into a mic. But they took it and like were like, no, let's decorate it up. And they based it around a store. There was a store, clothes store. And so the Sex Pistols like came out and they kind of like, the band was like an advertisement for the clothing store. So it was very much fashion based, you know what I mean? It was like and here it wasn't. Here it was more like protest, angry, and just sort of like more about the music and not as much about the showmanship of it all. But that's, you know, there was quite a few differences between the punk scene. I mean, there's differences between all the punk scenes, because then you have like Seattle, right? And they obviously like kind of like moved into the grunge scene because of, you know, like Nirvana and stuff like that. But they had their own punk scene, but it was like dark, you know, it was kind of like dark and more depressed. So you could see kind of like how that morphed into Nirvana and those kinds of bands. Anyway, it's cool. I love talking about like how punk has sort of like evolved over the years or whatever. But the point is, trans people were absolutely at the heart of punk rock since the very beginning. So it's insane to sit there and be like, oh, this brand new gender ideology crap. No, dude, you're the one that is the fucking weirdo that's outside here.
Is I think the largest contention people have in mainstream with woke culture, and that there's no small amount of that in alternative subcultures at the moment. But yes, it is shifting out of mainstream, and there definitely is a fight, like, you know, here on the mainstream. There's mainstream voices.
Oh my good God, dude. Can you make your fucking point so we can like move on from you?
Me and Brian here are the sort of the alternative voices that sort of contest the woke ideology, because
That nobody knows who the hell you are. Cool.
wokeness is, by its very
like-
operation, a form of conformity.
Yep.
And alternative and countercultures are
Oh my
meant to
God.
renounce any.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, they don't even understand what it is. Like, they think that it's just like it's just anger against anything, you know, that you're like you're saying, like, oh, it's conformity to be, you know, compassionate to the people who are outcasts, you know, the people that are mistreated by society and kind of pushed out and marginalized and everything like that. Oh, well, that is now conformity, right? Caring about the outcast. Like, how do you do this, dude? It's like everything is opposite day with these idiots.
Form of conformity, and we're just trying to reform the subcultures the best we can, despite the noise, Brian. I mean, you can attest to some of the contentions that you've had over the years.
The opposing the rules you're sort of assigned when you I don't know, elect to go down this darkened path, like sign up at your local Hot Topic or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Hot Topic really was kind of like the
Oh,
first
yeah.
the first thing where
Weirdos
people were
that-
like, oh, wait a
hold
minute,
on.
maybe this is mainstream. And again, and I bring up the mall.
Let me oh, shut up with the mall thing. I'm literally wearing my Sylvia Rivera Cafo, I can't read that. Cafe right now. What is that? A cafe? I don't know what that is. But named after her cause it has a gay / trans pride color scheme. Hell yeah. That's fucking awesome. I love it. Yeah. It's like I said, like they were, and of course now I'm like I said, blanking on the names, but like it was a big part of it, of the scene and everything. You'll hear like Fat Mike and them like talk about that like quite a bit. That the shows they saw were like the one lady, she was a trans woman, and it was just like her, and I want to say like a drummer, and it was just awesome, just like some of the roughest thrash like you've ever heard, and it was way back before you would have thought that kind of music even existed.
Right? Like
Right.
the mall was in the United States, at least, and I think that it's probably different in the UK, but not significantly because the cultures have shared so much in common for
They don't even have malls, okay, in the UK. Like malls are American, all right, and it's 80s American. I don't even know if they still exist anymore. Okay,
for at least
all the stores have gone outside. All right, they didn't. The stores protested. They're like too close to everybody else. You know, we don't get along, and so they had to divide. And now all the stores, they're separate.
as long as the US has been a country. The fact that you can go to the mall and see what is popular, what is cool, see what is also mainstream and Hot Topic.
Dude, here's the thing. The reason that it's the mall and why what this guy's saying is so stupid is because the whole thing is surrounding kids. It's all about kids and like what they're doing, what they're into, you know. When I was growing up, it was I was of course a unique case where I was actually the homeschooled kid and everything. But like most of like what spawned the punk culture and everything was like a lot of like broken homes, because it was like around the time that the Leave It to Beaver family unit or whatever was just breaking down completely. Like everybody was figuring out that, oh, this fucking American dream nuclear family perfection is bullshit, and it doesn't ever function the way that it does on Leave It to Beaver. And so, a lot of broken homes, a lot of what they called latchkey kids, kids that would come home, not, both their parents were working or like they were divorced or whatever. And so they're being raised by the TV, going, leaving and just coming home at all hours, parents not knowing where they are and not caring. That was sort of a big part of growing up back then. There was a lot of parents just didn't give a shit, like where their kids, like whatever you come, just do your homework. Okay, do your homework. Don't fail at school, and it's not because they actually wanted them to succeed. They're like, if I get called into a fucking meeting, all right, I will be pissed. I do not want to have to talk to anybody at your school. Do good just for that reason, okay? Because I don't give a shit. But don't make them call me, because then I have to like look like I'm a good parent when I come in and stuff. No, just do your fucking homework.
It become, and still probably is, kind of the corporatist, superficial demonstration of the quote unquote underground subculture.
Sterilized.
What's your experience with that, Brian?
I mean, yeah, that it was a weird thing to like Hot Topic was sort of like I mean, it's the whole thing shifted, I think, when the logo changed from the flaming thing to the block letters that they
I did not even notice that it changed. I'm gonna be straight up honest there. Never noticed the Hot Topic logo change. In fact, hold on, let me look this up because now I'm curious. What was the Hot Topic logo? Okay, I think these might be what they're talking about. Let me show you. Let's see here. You like new background? It's pretty cool, right? I've been having fun. Been having fun with this whole updating the art thing. All right, so let me see. Can you see that? All right, yeah, you can see that. All right. So this, I maybe this is the old one that he was talking about, and then it switched to this, so the block letter. Like, what is he? Let me see. Old. Here, let's do old. Or like original. We'll do old first. Okay. See, I don't even know what, I don't even remember. As far as I knew, I thought it was always this one. No? It's different now. It's that? Okay. I don't even know. I'd have to like go look at an actual place. Let me see what it looks like now. Let's see. Check out there. Okay, so it is like this. This is the symbol now. Like you said, like the block. Like it's like spray painted, right? That's what that kind of looks like, right? Like you have the what do you call that? The things where you put the wow, brain's not working great today. What is you know what I'm talking about? The things, and then you spray paint the thing. I made a shirt. No, this ain't the shirt. But I would make shirts out of it. Anyway. Oh, there's a 70%. Well, I mean, that's 40 to 70%. Okay. Probably on the garbage crap. You know what I mean? They always do that. Sucks. Okay. Here we go. Back to these geniuses. Stencil. Thank you. That's I knew the word existed, like in reality, just wasn't just didn't want to get in there. Thank you. I'm going to put that up. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's important. That jeez Louise. Let me see. You had it. Thanks. Let me see. Weirdo said, I don't think it ever registered before, but I recently worked on a health justice poster campaign based on those anti-Reagan posters. And we talked a lot about the specific shade of green. Really? Okay. See, it's funny. I love my backward drop and everything. It's the green and purple because of the Joker. He's pretty punk rock as far as I could tell. Here, look at this background. Let me show you one. It's pretty cool. I don't really use it much anymore. I used to use it back in the day, but I still got it up there just as like a cool thing. Look at that. It's you can't really say it's Joker as Jesus, like a religious Joker. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. Anyway, but it doesn't have my little thing, my little block, so that you can see the comments better. But yeah, I really do like that backdrop. It's kind of fun. Oh, and it doesn't have my QR code, which I kind of need, for y'all to be able to go to the Discord. I think that's the Discord one. Anyway, all right, let's keep going with this.
They have now, but yeah, I mean, I only brought up Hot Topic just because it was sort of this like weird incursion into what was such an underground thing that it's now next to the Juxtapose at the mall, but
it's Hot Topic, PacSun, and Forever 21, right?
Right, and it would just
Forever
abut the
21.
edge of what's
wanna be-
really subversive. But even then, I mean, I don't recall like getting signing off on a set of beliefs just because I like to listen to Suicide Commando or something like that. Like, well, you like this band, so you must believe that. I mean, you have to, right? Like, no.
Have you guys heard of this?
Who the hell is this guy? Where did he come from? Holy shit. No, it's but it makes it's weird when you like believe exactly the opposite of like all the bands, singing about stuff and being like, they think that being like punk and stuff is like just anti any establishment at all. Which is not really how it is. It's anti-oppressive establishments. You know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be fighting like you're not just fighting everything, and everyone, you know what I mean? Like that's not what punk is. That's not what counterculture is. It's you're fighting the power. You're fighting the oppressors. You're fighting the people that are stacking up all the privilege and power and forcing everybody else to like live off the fucking crumbs. That is obviously the battle, but they want to sit there and act like, no, the billionaire that we love licking the boots of is actually punk rock. He's breaking the establishment. And it's like, he's basically just breaking the parts of the establishment that are the only parts of the establishment that actually keep the people having the power. Pretty much he is the MAGA and Trump and all that crap. What he did was he just went in and dismantled the only parts of the government that actually work for the people, which would be like parts of the federal government and whatnot, that can hold people like him responsible, so that billionaires don't get to rule the fucking country. There's that's why we had that government in place, because the thing is the power is always going to be there, right? I mean, you know what? I'm just going to, the power is always going to be there, right? And it like how it's divided is like what, is always going to be different. So like if you have, right, like before we had it divided up so that the people, like in a democracy, people had more say, more power, right? Individually. But what he went and dismantled that part of it so that and he was like, oh, we're doing, making it small government. No, you're not. You're just basically making it so that the power that is always going to be there, right? Is just more in the hands of the people that already had the most power, which is the billionaires, the rich, the wealthy, the conservatives, the people that want everybody to believe all of the Republican talking points and beliefs, because everything they say is what a billionaire would like you to think and like you to believe so that they can keep getting more and more power. Anyway, all right, back to him. I know that was like a long thing, but
Store called Spencer's.
Sure.
So we have a lot of those. I don't see many Hot Topics anymore, but it used to be like a similar store to Hot Topic. A lot of skateboarding and stuff. They still do a lot of skateboarding, but you go in there now, there's like all this like lefty edgelord like magnets.
So the ACT UP anti-Reagan green. Huh. I'd have to look that up.
Some t-shirts, but the worst part is the amount of adult toys for women, and it's insane. Like this used to be a skateboard shop, and like
listen how fucking like what a baby. There's so many adult toys in here. This is supposed to be a skate shop. Hello. And now it's a place where you can, where you can buy your trucks and make your girlfriend very happy, and you. Honestly, you can put that in the other spot there. You know what I mean?
familiar with like goth or punk, like which one, but it was part of this culture that you guys are talking about, and nowadays it's unrecognizable.
Yeah, I think that the fact, I think this speaks to the idea that we kind of touched on before, that the underground used to be more than just window dressing, and I think that when you put it, once you get the imagery and the style into,
but that's what you are. Like, this is what's so weird. It's weird. They're just a projection factory, dude. Like, everything they say is like the way you are attracted to this counterculture is that it's just window dressing, because you don't. You're literally fighting for the powerful to get more power. What the fuck is wrong with you? And yet they're like, well, it's just window dressing on the other side with these wokesters. It's just it's just a style. Poser. No, that's you. You're the fucking posers, man. You're the one voting for the billionaire who ran his campaign with like the richest man on planet Earth, who bought a fucking social media company so that he could, put his insane thoughts right into the brains of all of his idiot followers, and then program a bunch of bots so that easily manipulated people will go, hey, look, everybody's thinking this. I guess I better think it too. And that worked, unfortunately, because I feel like that's why Trump won the election. But
your major, mall outlets, that kind of
AIDS gate. Well, let me see. Hold on. Is that AIDS gate? Green. I gotta check this out now. What did you say? AIDS gate posters. Let me see. Gotta check it out. Oh, cool. Okay, I see what you're saying. Hold on. Let me pop this up on the screen. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, and it's like, because green has always been like a big part of it. That was like half of like what made me, choose that color. Was because I like the Joker, even though I feel like the Joker almost represents like what they think punk is supposed to be, which is just destroying everything. But that's not really what it's about. It's like destroying things that, again, stack up power in a particular way so that it removes power from the population. Okay. Wow, look at that shit. Hold on. AIDS Gate. National Museum of History. Let me see here. That's awesome, dude. Y'all see that? Very cool. Oh yeah. So that's like classic punk, dude. Like that was back during Reagan. That was like that was just before, honestly, I got involved, right? Say involved, but when I got into punk and stuff, I was the 90s, right? So I was just after the AIDS gate issue, which and it was funny too, because the way I was raised was super Christian and fundamentalist and everything, and I loved punk and the music, but like I was only allowed to listen to Christian punk, but there was like a big Christian punk like movement, and so I was able to kind of like get in the door with the style. So that's got to be what you're talking about. It's like the main poster there. But this is another one, it seems. It's got the green. That's a different green now. This one's more like a snot, like a snotty green, and this one's more the one that like I go with, right? People with, hey, look like you. Jeez. It's crazy that they had to do all this. That like Reagan and their garbage institution at the time didn't want to treat gay people as if they were, humans with a disease, just like any other fucking person with a deadly disease. Now that doesn't count because they're not, they're not straight. Let me see. Yeah, that's wild. All right, we'll go back to these geniuses over here. Do love that color scheme though. That's really cool. They get like the pink with it. That's pretty neat.
shows that it's no longer underground. I mean, so when I was growing up, when I was a kid, and this is, you know, going back a long time, but like I had to go to a specific store.
And then I'm drinking hot coffee. This is brilliant. You know, I'm like dying. And yeah, I'm drinking hot coffee. That's wonderful.
You know, like half an hour from my house. And I'm 14, 15 years
Hey,
old.
Brian, what's going on? How you doing, Ryan? What's up? It's good to see you.
So I had to get a ride from mom, you know.
Yeah, and don't worry about that. It's okay about doing it. We'll do it another Sunday coming up.
If I wanted to listen to death metal bands, right? If I wanted to find the latest release from whatever European death metal band, I had to go to this place called the Music Outlet. And if I went down there, you couldn't just open it up and listen to it. You had to go ahead and look at the cover and be like, "Ooh, this one looks cool."
That's why vinyls were so big, man. So like they told the story.
Ooh, this one looks cool. Now I got to open it up and listen to it. I mean, we always had a place in the back from where I remember where you can, and if I'm not mistaken, you could still do this at like the Music Exchange. We had a Music Exchange. I don't know if it sounds similar to what he's talking about, but like, and you could always go in the back, and they had like a separate little area, and you could sit back there and listen to the record and see if you liked it, you know, but or just hang out and listen to it. I feel like for the most part, they're just like, we're cool with people just hanging out. They used to be cool with people hanging out in stores. I don't know when that changed, but yeah, now you can't just hang out in stores anymore. They get mad.
The band on the front there.
You had to bring it home, and you were like, hopefully that you liked it,
Right.
But maybe you didn't, and
then
that
just hope it was on the kiosk, like
yeah, right. But it was a commitment, and it took effort. Nowadays, if you want to find something that looks counterculture, it's only a Google search away.
Yeah. Well, you know, to perfectly sort of
It's funny. I remember that. Like because when I got into punk and everything, it was when the internet was just first starting, dude. And I remember I had to sit there and download for like, I swear it took like 20 minutes or something like that for a soundbite that was like, you know, less than like 10 seconds. It was just like a few seconds of like a Sex Pistols song. And I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And I was like so happy with it. And No Effects. And Offspring. I remember I did when I, you know, first got into it. Offspring was a big one. That was probably my first album that, you know, when I was a little kid. Got that Smash album, and yeah, I think that was really what kind of started guiding me in that direction.
Confer what you said there about social media sort of ruining the underground. The mall was sort of this place where social interaction sort of reigned supreme. And I don't know if you've ever met any alternative kids. They're not the most outgoing, right?
They are not.
No.
That's part of the reason why they're kind of looking for the alternative lifestyle.
Right. They're the most
That's cool. Weirdos. It's so weird to see the images associated with museums, considering that we ACT UP are still super active in doing stuff based on posters like these. Oh yeah, good for them. Gotta fight the power, man.
confrontational types of people. So, you know, you could go to the mall back in the 90s and the early 2000s, you know, pre you know, social media being the prevalent way for people to communicate. And you could maybe have some conflicting ideologies with someone, but you're not going to bring this up because that would start an argument and that's horrible, right? That's the worst thing ever. So the one unifier you had with all those around you was the stuff that made you all happy, the stuff you could all talk about, which was, you know, the clothes and the music and, you know, the video games that you're playing at the time, because like 2003, 2004, all the video games were edgy as hell. You had Devil May Cry, and you had
the Jake Monroe game itself.
yeah,
What was
Devil May Cry 3.
What the hell was edgy? Like I never know what they fucking mean by that word. Edgy. It was edgy, dude. Like what? Like approaching the edge of what's acceptable. Acceptable to who? Because and another thing he's saying, like, oh, we couldn't talk about the stuff that was like our beliefs or whatever. Like, what the? That's so weird to me. And they're like, oh, because if you disagree, you can't disagree. What group were you in, man? Like, I don't know. I mean, I heard more about politics than I did about punk rock when I was hanging out in the, you know, with all of the punkers and shit. Like when we were downtown, at the record stores or just out back after a show, whatever, smoking cigarettes in the alley and stuff like that. Like everybody was talking about politics constantly. That was like the main topic of conversation. It was like the main thing that like motivated us all a lot of times to be together, was like politics and stuff. So it's funny that, they act like it's not the central conversation, and then the music is sort of just like something that kind of went along with that.
The Jake Monroe game itself, that's right there, me and my brother fighting for eternally. And you also had Silent Hill, right? It was like everything.
Silent Hill was super edgy, dude. What the fuck? What are you talking about? What does even edgy mean? You mean just because it was a video game that was also scary? I mean, I guess that was kind of a new concept at the time, but it's weird.
Back then was
Gears of
edgy.
War.
Gears of War, yeah.
Industrial.
Everything back then was like
War is
edgy and
so edgy, man. There's military fighting aliens and stuff. Talk about edgy, man.
cool and goth and shit, right? So you could talk about all this stuff forever. And then
No, it's all edgy.
the migration happened, right? They sort of receded
Yep, the Great Migration of 05. I don't know what he's talking about.
into the safety of their bedrooms, and now you could have these mall meetups digitally,
Right.
and they all suddenly became
totally.
way braver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I could tell
And-
that's where you're going with it.
Yeah,
just
right.
because,
This
like,
dude looks like he got like half his face ran over by a truck. I don't know what happened.
so whenever you go to social media, because you're no longer confined within a mall, social media has naturally spreads and can be shared, and things can be and people can grow and people can get followings and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was definitely the end of the underground there. But also I think Linkin Park also ruined everything as well.
There's still an underground. Oh, Linkin Park. We always joke that they were like the boy band of counterculture or whatever. But I don't even think was that even true. People were saying that Linkin Park was put together by a producer, like the same way that the Beatles were put together by that guy, whatever they called him, the fifth Beatle. But I don't even know if that was true. You know what I mean? I could see why people would say stuff like that, just because they were so aggressively popular, and just there's like the first couple albums, it was like every single song was on the radio constantly. So I could see where people would say that, but I don't know as if it was true. I'd have to actually look that up.
Don't get me wrong.
Have y'all heard that rumor that it was like, I don't know if it's a rumor, but like that just talking point that Linkin Park was put together by a producer, like they didn't naturally come together.
Love Hybrid Theory and all that kind of stuff, but like when they took new metal mainstream and then Korn decided to stop doing it.
Because like
Korn and stuff, dude. Oh my god, my friend, there was like people that were so weirdly into Korn. Nothing wrong with Korn, they're fine. I enjoyed the slap bass metal craze that we had for like 20 minutes in like the early 2000s, but boy, people got weird about that shit. They'd all be like braiding their hair, they'd have all these braids and then shave up around the braids and stuff. So they'd just be slapping themselves in the face at shows. But, oh yeah, ow, 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 wow, that's like a whip. It whips me. Ow. Why did I put beads in there? That was so stupid. Ouch. It's gonna chip my tooth. Oh my god.
like grew up with Linkin Park,
Uh-huh.
and like that's my idea of like, I don't want to say heavy metal, but like punk and just that
Yeah.
kind of like alt culture.
It was a gateway drug, man,
yeah.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think to your
That's
point
crazy.
again, not
like nuts. It's 50-50. Oh, you crazy. That is so funny. Which one are we in right now? Which one of the because there's because we got all these. What's up, John? How we doing, dude?
not trying to sound like I'm criticizing Linkin Park. There
Well, you do sound like that.
are a lot of people that would say that All That Remains is what
The Who? What is that? Who cares? What stupid band is that? Who would name their band All That Remains? It's stupid.
it would be commercial metal nowadays, which is fine with me.
You are.
Um,
You literally are commercial metal. What are you talking about?
But the idea that you had to have, that you were looking to make abrasive music,
Yeah.
right? You were looking to make music that intentionally wasn't for everybody. You were looking for a style that intentionally wasn't for everybody, right? It was supposed.
Such a weird way to say that, man. It's intentionally not for everybody. Like, what? Like, you mean it just is what it is, and whether or not people happen to like it or not. I mean, this is like where Fat Mike goes into like talking about how Green Day and was it Green Day, Offspring, and Blink-182. He was like, they didn't sell out. I would argue that Blink did. Let me take them out of this. Offspring and Green Day. They didn't sell out. They did what they were doing and got popular. Well, Offspring even has some of those songs that don't really sound like the Pretty Fly for a while. You know, let's just talk about Green Day for a minute here. Green Day did not sell out. They just happened to get big. Okay, they kept doing what they were always doing, and people all of a sudden started liking it. That's not selling out. But anyway,
to keep people that were looking to be accepted in the mainstream. It was supposed to keep those people out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that, and we, and I say we, speaking of, as three guys that kind of come from that scene.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It wasn't that we were intending to exclude anyone. It's just that the imagery and the music that did that for us.
Yeah.
We weren't keeping you out. You were welcome if you liked it.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter, you know.
isn't this the opposite of what you just said a second ago? You made it sound like it was like made to not be liked by people, and then now you're just flip-flopping what you said. Like, what point do you think you're making here? And like, because I don't think you're making it, man.
What your personal opinions were about anything else. It was just like, if you like this music, if you like this style,
look at the fucking covers of the records and stuff, man. They're full. I mean, I guess he's like a metal head rocker dude, and the other two are fucking goth. So I don't know. I guess maybe this doesn't count. Like, but don't put punk in the title. You know, I guess it says goth first. It's woke has infected goth, punk, and metal. MAGA must save the arts. Oh my God. Y'all, you're in a cult. You're in a cult. Okay. Jesus Christ. These fucking people are stupid. But no, like, and punk has always been political. Like, I don't know about metal and goth, but punk has always been like, it was born out of rage against the machine, as it were, if you will, per se. The machine being the institutions of power, not just institutions, just being institutions. No, it's institutions of power. That's what, like, we've always fought against. And it's like they're like, no, we're fighting against the institution that is fighting against the power, because we stand with the billionaires, you know, because we're so counterculture.
you can come to shows and you can hang out and we'll be cool. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, and the cops too. Like, remember, it's the other thing. Like, they're fucking pro cop. How can you be punk rock or subculture and be pro police? What the fuck is even? Oh my God.
The fact that the imagery kept people away, that was good enough for us.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a great filter. It was a great sorting mechanism. And so you didn't have
it was a
that
great sorting mechanism. Okay.
kind of gatekeeping by people with saying, well, you don't have the right opinion,
right?
So you have to be kept out. You think you like something that doesn't fit in here, so you have to be kept out.
It was thought crime.
Yeah, exactly. There was no thought.
Yeah, we always just let Nazis come right into the punk shows. You know, they were, you know, we welcome all, okay, including those that don't welcome all. You know, that's we gotta, you gotta include everybody, including those that don't include everybody. Fuck.
And the edginess was part of it. So I oftentimes I see people that are saying, people say this to me on the internet. They're like, oh, well, you know, punk rock would hate you, and punk rock's about
punk rock does hate you, dude. You're a joke.
You know, these particular
it's like I wish we couldn't do the, like, get in trouble with the copyright thing, because one of these days, you know what? I'll put it up on Patreon. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna react on Patreon to, because it's the only place. Like, I couldn't even do it as a members video if I wanted to. So if you're like a member, maybe I'll make it free or something like that. There's I can put up free videos. Anyway, we're gonna do it on Patreon, and you gotta hear Tim Pool's band. It is so, oh my god, it is the it is the most awful garbage emo crap. I mean, nothing wrong if you like emo and stuff, but like he's bad at it though. It's like emo, but awful, like way worse than any emo that you're thinking. Just think of the worst emo band that you could think of, and then sprinkle some Nickelback on top of there. And yeah, and that's what you get. Some Milli Vanilli just right up the tail end of, but and that's what you get.
Politically correct opinions.
Unbelievable.
And I'm like, well, I remember there's pictures floating around of, Sid Vicious from the 80s wearing a swastika.
Yeah.
Oh,
you could get those
Cool,
from.
that's awesome. Where it's swastika. Yeah, again, because that was at the beginning of punk, and there was a very specific thing that was going on at that time, and their message was all symbols are just symbols. That was the point of that. But nowadays, that's a little distasteful, especially since we, the subcultures include more than just white people that are trying to be like, no, it's cool. I don't care what it means. So anyway, but yeah, that and that did not last, as I think everybody knows. It's not like everybody, oh yeah, that's why punks just kept wearing swastikas like it was no big deal. No, that died out real quick for obvious fucking reasons.
What was the name of the street in London you could get all those clothes from? It was,
Camden?
No. Vivienne Westwood came from it. She worked there, and then she went on and she managed. I think the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, it was the store, and I can't remember what it was, but that was literally what the Sex Pistols were, advertising for. They were basically marketing for a fucking clothing store, that's why I kind of don't count them as far as like punk and stuff. But even then, even they at the time, they were against the crown, which was the power institution. So saying God save the Queen and stuff like that, and being pro-abortion and stuff like that. They still were back then. Now Johnny Rotten is a fucking idiot, and he kind of has been an idiot for a very long time, and he's also rich, so no wonder he likes Trump. So whatever, but yeah, he's a moron.
It was that shop, and you could get swastika stuff there,
What's up, Deviant? How we doing, dude?
and all sorts of really ambiguous.
So that was weird. Not really sure what happened there, but said, okay, that's it. I'm calling it. We're Brentley, we're raptured. My God, what the fuck was that? Because the StreamYard completely went out on me. Weird. Yeah, the atheist rapture. That's it's a different one, you know. It's right before the pro Christ, the pro takes over the world, makes everybody be his religion. It's coming. You'll see it. Just you know the signs. They're gonna make everybody take a mark and stuff. Actually, everybody has to take a Paul, you know, because Mark is one of the Gospels, but you got to take a Paul, which is different. That's anyway.
Conversations with Christians and trying to poke holes in.
So I don't know how much y'all heard before it cut out, if any at all. This is Michael Ray Lewis, director of Universe Designed. I think you might believe in intelligent design. I don't know. It's hard to tell, you know, but apparently he used to be an atheist. Okay.
When you did not believe in God, why did you not believe in God?
Honestly, I didn't believe it because I didn't think there was any good reason to believe it to begin with. I'd heard slogans like...
That was the best answer to that question that I've ever heard an ex-atheist say.
If there's a good God, he wouldn't allow evil and suffering. I had heard evolution has disproven Christianity. I had watched documentaries from Bill Maher.
Then all right, now I don't believe you anymore. He said the evolution disproves Christianity. That's what atheists would say. Come on, dude. That's not. That makes no sense. You can be a Christian and still believe in evolution. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with that. It just it would, I guess, disprove a literal interpretation of the 6-day creation or whatever, but that's it.
I'd watched there's one called Zeitgeist that were...
Yeah, I watched that too.
Yeah, that shows that Jesus, you know, he wasn't an actual historical figure. He's just a copy of ancient myths over time. And I was convinced that...
That kind of reminds me, I was a theist friend of mine actually reached out recently. I guess he's like he's trying to put out some kind of book or something. And he had asked me if I could get John, Godless Engineer, to come on here and do a debate about Jesus's existence with him. And I was like, maybe I could reach out, see what John wants. I've had John on quite a few times, so you might be down with that. He seems to like talking about that stuff a lot, so could be fun. I don't know. What do y'all think? Think it could be fun?
There was no good reason to believe it. And then on top of that, honestly, I didn't like Christians. I mean, the real interactions I had with Christians...
I just didn't like Christians. You know,
Christians were the ones on the street corners yelling at me that I'm going to hell. And I didn't want anything to do with that. And so I just naturally, growing up, I was never given any good reason to believe it either. So
it's weird that he said like, oh, like I just like part of why I didn't believe was because I didn't like the people that did believe, which I don't, that doesn't really have anything to do like people love atheists. That's it. We're just the most loved people on earth. No, I mean, that should not inform whether or not something is true. If it's, if you believe something is true just because you don't like the people that believe it or don't believe it, that's weird.
Family, all of them would say they probably believed in God. I think we even had a Bible under our bed, but we never talked about God. We never talked about Jesus. We never read the Bible. And so growing up, that wasn't even part of the discussion. And so with not having it in the home, seeing hypocritical Christians out there yelling at me, and then seeing documentaries that were showing me no good reason to believe it, I just naturally adopted atheism.
Is naturally adopted it. Okay.
I was pretty opposed to Christianity. And I would even use the arguments I saw in those documentaries against Christians in conversation. And
You would even use those arguments you heard of the documentary against? Wow, dude. That is just, can't believe you would even do that.
try to poke holes in their argument. And so I was just genuinely convinced it wasn't real.
What motivated you to watch Zeitgeist, or I think you're referring to like Religulous by Bill Maher?
That was it. That's what it was.
So what do you remember your mindset at the time where
TV, so he heard from his pastor, and then God miraculously came in him, like we were saying, just came right in there.
you like, oh, I'm going to watch this and find some fuel to use against these annoying street preachers? Or are you more just like, oh, what's this? Like anything else? Like, oh, documentary about Michael Jordan, that looks cool. Oh, documentary about Christianity, that looks cool. Or like, what was your mind? Like, what?
It's so weird that they act like you have to have so much to not believe that a carpenter from 2,000 years ago was crucified and then 3 days later like came back to life and then flew away into the clouds. Like, you're like, well, why do you like what did you have? What was all the information that you needed to believe that wasn't true? Because obviously the default setting is that is true. Like, that just the way that they talk about this shows that they like seriously look at everything backwards.
Motivated you to watch those in the first place?
I love those type of documentaries. I would even watch the documentary called The Secret. That one interests me.
So
and then I would watch all the scientific documentaries on the universe, and that's just the types of films that I loved. And I think honestly,
are atheists being kidnapped now? Yeah, no, we are. That's if you're not white, but that's mostly just because of the not whiteness, and ICE is doing anyway. It's a whole thing.
I probably wasn't a really staunch atheist until I started watching all of that content. I think that's what really started to kind of get ingrained in my mind. And that's when I was like, ooh, these guys are out making fun of Christians. I can go do it too. And that's kind of where I adopted.
Ooh, cool. These people are out making fun of Christians. I want to do that too. I want to jump on the making fun of Christians bandwagon. So I get it. It's fun, dude, right? They're silly.
That idea and started really having conversations with Christians and trying to poke holes. And I mean, it's sad because it was so easy to stump Christians with hard questions.
Yes.
And I could tell you honestly, looking back,
yes, we get stumped. We tend to be stumped all the time. We just kind of remain stumped. We just stay in that confused face. Like, that's sort of just our permanent face. It's just that of confusion. You should just see all the equations just floating around. That's just every Christian's face all the time.
There was not one Christian who gave me a genuine good answer.
Actually, it's not, because they're not actually trying to think about anything, So really their faces, it's just mindless happiness.
To the objections I was raising. Now, I was raising them from a very skeptical, just trying to poke holes kind of way. But there are other people out there who are genuinely asking these questions. And those Christians weren't equipped to answer them for me.
Oh, well.
What you just said is the
Need some better equipment.
entire idea behind this channel, literally, is because when I watch a documentary like Religulous, and as much as it is all framed to,
it's pronounced religulous. Okay, the G is not. You'd have to have an E at the end for the G. Never mind.
make Christianity look stupid and wrong. It
Doesn't take much, dude. Have you seen your beliefs?
is still a problem that when Bill Maher just goes to the streets and asks people these questions, people just don't know. People are just totally cooked.
Yeah.
Oh man, cooked. Doesn't that tell you something about your beliefs, man? If like the majority of the people holding those beliefs don't know why they think it, other than I'm part of a group of people that us is think that stuff. Okay, that's, I don't know. I'm part of that group. That's what that group thinks. So I don't understand what else I need to tell you here.
And it's like, on one hand, okay, that's a really slimy tactic as a documentarian to never actually ask any like experts on Christianity or
What to never ask any Christian experts? What are those? That's not a thing that exists. Yeah, I got a doctorate in my religion. That's right.
to never go to the people who
Because
would.
like the irony here is that the people that are quote unquote experts are just anybody that pretends the hardest and gets the biggest following. That's it. All those pastors and stuff, they don't have education in the matter. They're just they just sound convincing. They're just the most charismatic from a stage. They don't actually have expertise in anything, which is kind of hilarious. And I feel like that's like half the reason why people go into religious circles to begin with. They want to be able to have all of the respect and grandeur of being lauded as somebody that's great without having to do fuck all, like they could just do nothing and still be like, boy, that guy, man, he is just, boy, he knows his religion good. He does his religion harder than like everybody, and he even kind of like wags his finger at everybody else that is not doing his religion as hard as he is, or at least as hard as he says he is.
Have answers is kind of like a really crummy tactic to only go to the streets to get answers about Christianity, but to use all of your experts to attack
What's up, chow man? How we doing, dude?
Christianity. Okay, that's
Okay.
very biased.
Okay. You're by what?
Is kind of like a really crummy tactic to only go to the streets to get answers about Christianity, but to use all of your experts to attack Christianity. Okay, that's
we only have experts, dude. That's the thing, man. We don't have just a charismatic guy that just gets to pretend that he's awesome and is hearing from a magic. We don't have that. We don't have some guy that's just got no credentials whatsoever. But he's like, I'm hearing from the non-God that does not exist, and he's telling me that he doesn't exist. It doesn't work that way, man. It's not. All we have is experts over on the atheist side, man, and apostates, people like me.
very biased. But at the same time, what a shame that when you do go to the streets, it's so easy to find those people that just give you an embarrassing amount of nothing. Right. And I do think that's
and thank you. I think Deviant made a good point. He did go to experts in the field, right? Like he went to what did you call them? Figureheads, which is, again, that's all they got. They don't have experts, I mean, I guess you could call like Bible scholars and stuff experts, but like that's not that's not the people that cause other people to be Christians most of the time. And that's not people that people like this dude would hold up as experts. He would, I don't know who he would hold up, like apologists probably as experts, like William Lane Craig, that would probably be his version of an expert.
Massive problem in our culture. I think it's a giant, and I think it makes sense on so many levels. And literally, like, that is the heartbeat behind this YouTube channel, is like, I've been there. I've been cooked, stumped, embarrassed, not known how to answer something, even as a person who would call myself a Christian. And that's really a shame if there are answers. If there aren't answers, then you should be cooked, and you should
Right.
and you should be embarrassed, and you should move on, and you should change your mind.
Well, that's good. That's good that he at least thinks that, because, most Christians don't. They're just like, and if there isn't evidence, we'll just believe anyway. Just, start with the Bible, and then just believe that a fundamentalist interpretation of the Bible is true. And then reality, you can decide whether or not to believe demonstrable aspects of reality if you feel like it, as long as it aligns with the Christian Bible. Then you can think it. But if it's not, then you just have to reject the demonstrable evidence right in front of your face.
But at the very least, we've all got to kind of ask that question, like, is the answer that this person on the street is the answer that they gave a fair representation of the Christian answer to this objection, or is it not? And if it's not, then
what the fuck? What did you just say?
is the answer that this person on the street is the answer that they gave a fair representation of the Christian answer to this objection, or is it not?
Holy shit. Is it a fair representation? Dude, again, like, you don't own Christianity, dude. This is sort of the problem with y'all's beliefs, is that there is no objective standard of what Christianity is, right? So you're saying, is this a fair representation? Is it a person that says they're a Christian? Is it a person that believes that Christianity is true? Then it's a fair representation, dude, because that's all it takes to be a true Christian. It's weird when they have to like do this, like this fat, the no true Scotsman shit. And it's like, we haven't even gotten anywhere yet. And he's just like, well, he's just like preluding. He's just doing like just getting ahead of it. Well, anybody that says something that doesn't sound convincing, or they're not actually a true Christian and shouldn't be representing my religion.
And if it's not, then we all need to level up and actually understand how to respond to something like you brought up, the problem of evil. So how did you go from kind of that place of like, okay, Christianity is foolish, silly, wildly insufficient in terms of answering any of these questions, to thinking about that differently? What was the beginning of that journey for you?
My wife, I got married, and then she harassed me until I said that I was her religion.
What was the first thing that you came across that actually
just like that apostate prophet guy
moved you?
So I met my wife, and she was raised in the church.
That's literally joking.
However, her friends had pulled her away. And then, of course, when I met her, I pulled her away.
You pulled her away from her beliefs that she thought were true.
But we ended up getting married, and she came to me one day and she said, I feel like Jesus is calling me back. And I'm like, oh.
See, look right here. It's on the phone. You see, it says one missed call. It's right there. Hey, Zeus, right? So,
Oh, man, I don't want to have to deal with all this. But all right, let's go to this church.
Brett, what's up, dude? How we doing, man?
And see what it's all about. So this
That's me. I'm the punk, a prophet. That's right. The punk, a prophet.
was my attempt at kind of taking a second look at it, but very skeptical. And I remember I walked into the church and looking around. I'm like, all right.
Did she come to you, or did she fake it? She faked it. I mean, let's be real here. Okay. He has not located that particular spot. Gee, I wonder where it is,
These are different.
Gee whiz.
Different than the ones on the street corners. They're genuine. And I get it. It gives people something to hope in. I just don't think it's true. Well, I ended up kind of getting irritated with going. I didn't want to keep going. And so I was like, all I got to do is show her it's not real. And so I started hitting her with the difficult questions.
Mm-hmm.
Again, she wasn't able to answer it, but over time, she was still adamant that it was true. I couldn't persuade her that it wasn't real.
Have you ever witnessed a donkey having a debate with a guy because Angel is in the middle of the road with this flaming sword when the donkey clearly sees him and the man doesn't? When was the last time you saw a situation like that play out? Yeah, that's what I thought, because your book's stupid and it's not real. Anyway, answer that tough question, lady.
And there was one particular moment that kind of started to really pique my curiosity. And it was a YouTube video that popped up on my feed by an astrophysicist, Hugh Ross. And it was Hugh Ross going over...
we call him Huey. Oh, Huey, oh, Huey Ross.
His perspective of the creation days. And he was also covering the compatibility scripture is with science, how they don't contradict each other. It's actually compatible. And I remember I got through the end of that video and I'm thinking,
it irritates me when they say that, because they can always just like move isn't it like, what do you call it? A demarcation problem, whatever. Like they can just always, bring up the demarcation thing, because they can just say that, like, look, if God exists, well, then he would be part of the natural world, and then he would be like supernatural, would be indistinguishable from natural. So there'd be no distinction between the two, right? So just magic is just a part of reality. And if magic is a part of reality, well, then anything could be true, right?
To myself, well, maybe there is something to this. And so I went back to the Bible that she had bought me earlier and I pushed away. I took a second look at it and I'm like, this kind of makes sense. And that just
when you say it like that, well, it kind of makes sense if you think, if you turn, if you you know, if we're just flip it upside down and backward. Just don't look at it. Actually, don't look at it at all. It starts to kind of make sense if you don't think about it.
started a rabbit hole of me going through learning about what apologetics was, finding books from Hugh Ross.
So you didn't, when you were an atheist, you didn't know what apologetics was.
Books from William Lane Craig. I think the first book I ended up reading was Timothy Keller's Reasons for God. And I really just started kind of diving into it. I was looking at other religions and belief systems too, trying to see. But I was extremely skeptical through this whole process, even after looking at all of this. So much so, this was about
That's
a
good.
3-year journey that I was on, looking at all of this.
Wow.
Well, towards the end of the 3 years, I started asking her questions about scripture. Like, one of my biggest objections was that I can't believe in a God who's going to send me to hell just because I have a little bit of trouble believing in him. And I had this resistance towards that. That whole idea bothered me.
But what, somebody convinced you that no, actually not being convinced he exists is deserving of being eternally tortured. It's, again, it makes sense. Just don't think about it.
Wrote down a bunch of I had a bunch of questions about scripture and how things worked, and she said, "You know what? I don't know, but I do have a friend of the family."
It doesn't. That's the answer. Yeah. Well, actually, if you did, it doesn't. It doesn't work. Sorry.
Is that you can go and have a conversation with, who's a theologian. And I said, all right, so let's go have this conversation.
That was untrue.
I wrote down 5 pages full of questions.
Well, you broke the first rule of doing shrooms, which is don't believe anything you think. That's job one. If you take shrooms, everything you think is stupid and wrong. Don't ever believe anything that's going on up there, because it's all discombobulated. You know, the room is not actually melting. Okay, I know it looks that way, and you can't actually taste colors. I know it feels that way, but you can't.
I was ready to just hammer this guy with. And I remember I walked in.
And if you want to get hammered in the butt, just go to, oh wait, sorry, we don't do those anymore. But you used to would have been able to go to AdamandEve.com, but you can go to a porn site and just give that a shot, right? It's fun. It's fun stuff, and then you can watch somebody else get hammered from behind, right? Maybe with a strap on of some sort.
The door, and it was kind of like,
I like promoting porn. I think that it's a good, healthy expression of sexuality, and I think it keeps. I think the reason that all the right wingers do all the nofap shit is because they want them just wound up tight. They're easier to enrage about stuff, I think. So I try to promote people loosening up a little bit.
I mean, 'cause this was 9 years ago now. And so it's hard to remember even all the questions that I had, but thinking back, I remember every question that I asked him, he was using scripture to answer it. And then at the very last question, he looked up at me and he looked me in the eye and he said, "So do you believe it?" I'm thinking, well, I don't have any more objections at this point, because I've been looking at all the evidence. It was starting to become overwhelming.
Okay, so wait a second. So why should I believe your book is true? Is not that never popped into your noggin there? No, none of that. You're just like, but he answered all of my questions with the Bible. So where's the Bible? And I bet you go, well, you got to go to this Bible verse here that says that the Bible's true. Look at that. Hey, see that Bible verse says that the Bible's true. We're done here.
The fine tuning and just everything in general was that cumulative case was overwhelming. And so I looked at him, I said, I think I do. But it didn't really sink in until the drive home.
No.
On the drive home.
Well, I see. Gisela said, what really happened was she said, I can't be intimate with you if you're an atheist. Sorry. It's like, actually, whoa, you know what? Arguments are really starting to come around in here. Now, I hadn't thought about it from the other way. Now, it's making sense. It's making sense. You want to go? You want to go right now? You want to do it? I can get the heart-shaped bed, spinning and vibrating, and get the mirror on the ceiling cleaned and stuff like that. If you want to head in there.
That's when I thought to myself, I really think that this is true. And I realized that what was holding me back wasn't the evidence, because the evidence was sound. What was holding
Could you give us some of that then? He's like, no, the evidence that I figured out was actually sound. No, I'm not going to talk about it. No, don't ask me what the specifics are. Anyway, but I found that all that evidence was so good. It's good evidence. Not going to tell you what it is, but just that stuff, man, it was convincing.
me back was the fact that I didn't want it to be true. And when I realized that, I thought to myself, well, that's not a good reason. And so I threw my hands up and I said, all right, Jesus, what's next? Then
Dude, I don't believe this guy now. Now I believe nothing he says. Oh, I figured out that I just didn't want it to be true, and now I'm like, well, I guess I got to think it's true then. What's up, Nitty? Hey, how we doing, man? What's going on?
days after that, I think that's when the gospel really started to kind of lay on my heart, and I started to kind of fully grasp the gospel.
Got his heart laid, got his heart laid there with God.
And understand that my objection that I had at the beginning, that I can't believe in a God who's going to send me to hell just because I have a little bit of trouble believing in him, I had it wrong. The fact is, he wasn't sending me anywhere. I was sending myself there.
Oh, you were sending yourself, so it's actually your fault. Wow, dude, this is a joke, right? This guy's not serious, is he? Lying is a sin, man. Okay, you can't be going around pretending that you used to be an atheist like this. It's really dishonest.
And Jesus was standing right in front of me with his hand open wide, and what I was doing was pushing his hand away and walking away. And I think once I started to realize the gravity of the gospel, that's when it all started to click, and ended up giving my life to Christ. And then I dedicated myself to sharing the evidences that I found with everyone.
Oh, really? Do you want to give that a shot? Can we get to those at some point? The evidences, the plural of evidence.
When I could come into contact with.
Unbelievable.
It's actually really interesting. So the personal...
Exactly. So these are the type of reasons that are good enough to believe in Islam. Right, Nitty? That's what I was saying.
How do I say this? Like your personal, I guess you could say, like, repentance actually followed your intellectual consent.
It did. So this is actually where this whole idea of when was I saved? The question comes in.
He used the word sound. He's like, he was very sound evidence. Clearly, he knows what that word means, I'm sure. But it's just funny because you're like, that must mean, he used the word sound. So clearly he understands syllogistic logic and the nature of soundness and validity, right? And that you need both for a logical syllogism to be to be true, whatever, to lead to a true conclusion.
Because that drive home, when I threw my hands up and I said, all right, Jesus, what's next?
All right, JC, what do we got going on today, man? Hey, up top. Oh, he's just gonna leave me hanging. All right. He's funny, man. He's just messing.
That was when I had this kind of experiential thing. I don't usually share my experiential aspect of it because I like to rely on the facts if it's true or not. I always say,
right, there you go. Sure, of course you do. Why wouldn't you? And cheer, how we doing? Said, I hate this guy's hat. And always looks like he pulled it from between the seat cushions of his pickup truck. Yeah, I know. Or, out of in between the seat cushions of a Civil War carriage. That's what it feels like, in that Civil War kit. And from the wrong side, I would say. Probably. I don't know. I don't know what the outfits were, but I just feel like he would root for the wrong side of that war.
Don't trust your experiences. However, in that moment, it was almost
probably calls it like the War of Northern Aggression or some shit.
Like a fog left my mind and I could finally see reality for the way that it actually is.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, that religion got rid of the fog. That's it. Okay.
and my eyes were opened, and I could finally see, like, it's obvious. It's obvious that he exists.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I don't think I fully understood the gospel.
Can you give us anything, man? It's so funny that and this is what they think will get people. They're like, well, he used to be an atheist. Listen to his story. And his story is, well, I used to not believe, but then my wife became a Christian. Then it was just obvious, you know? And you're like, what did you find convincing? The obviousness of it all, you know? Any evidence, man? Any like argument? You want to just give us anything, dude? Just anything at all.
It was a little bit later that the gospels really started to weigh on me, and I understood what I needed to do, and I needed like fully release myself to Jesus. And so, was I saved on that car?
See, it's that no fapping stuff, dude. See, we got to be against that. He needs a release. He needed a release, and see, you got wrong release, buddy. You need just do it, okay? I know she's not giving you any. Just check out some of that the stuff. They're just take a look at it and just try it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's the release that you actually need, and not whatever the hell this is.
Right? Or was I saved the day that I released myself to Jesus? I mean, technically, I did that in the car ride, but I didn't fully understand the gravity of it, and so I always questioned that myself, how that works out. But that was how it happened. That's what happened.
You had to first understand the.
That was what. Wow, it's like exactly halfway through. Do we get to any arguments? I was like hoping that the atheists, the ex-atheists, would provide some argumentation for like why Christianity is true, and we should all believe in the undead carpenter ghost that lives inside your heart now that you pretend to cannibalize. It's totally true and reasonable.
Veracity of Christianity, the truthfulness of Christianity, that it actually accounts for the way that the world is. And as that theologian is kind of walking you through your objections, you're like, okay, yeah, that checks out. And then you're like, okay, I don't actually have any other questions, Your Honor. And then he's like, so then what's your problem? And then you kind of realize, I don't want it to be true.
I just didn't want it. I just didn't want to believe that not being convinced of something was a sin that was punishable by eternal torture.
Yeah.
And at that point, do you have a sense of why you didn't want it to be true?
I think looking back at it, I felt good with my life. I felt like I was in control of my life. But if I had to admit that God exists, I was not in control of my life.
It's literally the opposite. What the hell are you talking about? People believe in gods so that they can feel like they have some kind of, not just of their life, but of the world and how it works and everything. It's so funny. Like when I was an atheist, I believed I had control of my life. And I believed in God to not have. It's just so, what a weird thing. I mean, it's just such, again, he's a projection factory. They're always fucking projection factories. They're always like saying like the opposite of the thing, and it's like, no, dude, like people believe in God so that they can feel like there's something looking out for them, because the world is actually a pretty scary place, and being out there in the chaos is daunting. And so a lot of times people choose religion so that they can at least pretend like they got some fucking bubble boy kind of like magical shield against what could possibly happen to them.
And I think relinquishing that control is something we all struggle with. We don't want to let go of our lives. And that's what we do when we
want to let go of our life. What are you talking about? What atheist belief makes you have control of your life? Like, I don't understand anything that he's saying here.
Our life to Jesus. You are relinquishing control to him. And I think in the back of my mind, that's probably what was going on. I think that was the reasoning behind why I didn't want to jump on board.
Don't say reasoning. None of this makes any sense, man. Relinquish control. Like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? It's so weird when they start saying stuff like this. Like, what it sounds to me like is almost like you didn't want to take responsibility. because a lot of times that's what it is too. They don't want to take responsibility for their own mistakes, right? And so they can just do like he said, oh, I could just relinquish control. Well, it's not my fault because I'm not making my own decisions. God is. You know, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. So you can't get bad at me. I didn't do anything wrong. This must just be a test. Because when you're an atheist, you actually have to take responsibility for your behavior and your mistakes, but you also get to take credit for the good parts too, man, which, you know, Christians can never do that.
All this.
That makes so much sense. That's
It's cult speak. Thank you.
The classic, you know, Garden of Eden, thy will versus my will, God versus self, pride versus humility paradigm. So that makes so much sense.
Yeah, pride versus humility. It's not prideful at all to think that you're like hearing from the actual God of the universe and that you're living in accordance with the thing that created the universe for you to be able to live your life the way you're living it. That's not prideful at all.
What happens next? Like how do you what kind of walk me through? Okay, your mind is convinced.
He's just following orders. But I think that's part of it. I think that, like I was just saying before about the responsibility thing, I think that is what it is. It's like the simplicity. They love the simplicity of it because shit is actually complicated. You actually have to be able to think and decide stuff for yourself. And that's not easy, you know? And so they just don't want to do it. They're just like, nah, I don't want to do the thinking part of stuff, you know, have to like weigh out options and be no. I just gave up my brain to have somebody else do my thinking for me, and boy, is it free, you know. It was a release, almost like when I was looking at that stuff on the computer and it felt like a sneeze, but better.
Your heart yields. You are on team Jesus now, no longer an atheist, unconvinced of atheism. Lacking a belief in atheism.
Lacking a belief and a lack of a belief in God. Sure, why not? Yeah, no, that works. Okay.
How do you go from there to making a documentary film all about why God is real and how science points to
all about why God is real?
God
Okay.
And how the culture has deceived people around these topics. Like how do you kind of help me get from where you are today and this moment in your story that we just covered?
Yeah, Brent said religious thinking and authoritarian mindset have a huge overlap. Yeah, because again, like you're saying, like they don't want to have to think at all. They want to just have their thoughts handed to them by an authority. Yeah, like a lot of times you'll hear them say it's selfish to decide for yourself what is right and wrong, or it's like you are believing that you are a God if you decide for yourself what is right and what is wrong, because it's somebody else has to tell you what is right and what is wrong. You can't figure it out yourself. It's got to be from God. And it's like, wow, that's so sad. And that's exactly where you get people that will think that it's okay or moral to like hurt other people, right? Because it's from an authority. Hey, the authority said that these people don't matter, or these people deserve it, or whatever it is. And now the natural evaluation of consequences of actions with respect to a specific goal, the goal being like the best well-being for the community, all that goes out the window, because now you've switched where you get your decision making from as it applies to right and wrong, and it comes from an authority. And so that's what happens here.
Well, once I gave my life to Christ, honestly, that was a point when I really started to get excited, because then I was like, this is real. This is actually real. So I want to know anything I can about it. That's when I
Florida sucks, man. It's too hot. It's December, and I'm sweating my ass off.
started diving into the Bible,
Ridiculous.
trying to understand like theological ideas, and I was
Tilting windmill. What's going on, dude? How you doing? So, oh, for fuck's sake. How/why God is real. Come on. I know we've made it how far? for almost going on 15 minutes, and we haven't heard a single actual argument or piece of evidence as to why, his Christian beliefs are now true and his atheist skepticism is wrong.
Absorbing all of this information, I was looking at more and more evidence that were just more overwhelming for the existence of God. And it was almost like that first year of excitement once you give your life to Jesus.
Oh man.
And, but one of the things I didn't do was I wasn't out there like sharing my faith. I wasn't out there telling people. Honestly, I was even kind of hesitant to call myself a Christian because I knew the kind of baggage that came with that word.
Yeah.
And
A lot of baggage. Baggage like you got to think everything everybody else tells you to think, because now you're saying that you think the things that allow other people to say you got to think the things they want you to think because you called yourself. No, it's the whole thing.
I was not the kind of guy to be out talking to people really in general, much less about my beliefs.
I don't talk to guys, man. I talk to the ladies. Okay. I'm not the kind of guy that's out just talking to guys. I just, all my friends are women. Just want to, yeah, I know.
But I was completely convinced that it was true and I wanted people to know. But I was afraid, like, I'm going to stumble over my words. I'm not going to say things right. I mean, I knew the answers to the objections, but I didn't know how to articulate the answers to the objections. But there's one particular moment in my life that sort of shifted everything. I got a call from my dad that my grandma was passing away in the hospital. And I came up to the hospital and she was still somewhat coherent. I could have totally had a conversation with her, and she was asking me how.
Chavez said, weird how God hands out morality based on how many people view the world of what is right and wrong. Couldn't do that on day one. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's why it's funny when it updates, because they're constantly like, if you look at like Frank Turek and stuff, they'll always be like, well, you don't have a standard for there to be a right and wrong because you're an atheist. They'll always say some stuff like that. And then, you're like, I always just want to be like, okay, then what is the standard and how do you determine that something is part of like where something falls on this objective standard? Like, how do you know this stuff? I wish somebody would just ask him that. But I feel like whenever that does come up, he's like, you're mixing, you can't try to mix epistemology with the ontological concept of morality. And it's like, well, then what the fuck's the point? Like, who gives a shit then? Like, the whole thing is useless. If you're just saying, oh yeah, there's an objective standard somewhere, it's out there. Nobody can know what it is, or like be able to demonstrate that it exists even, but it's there. And but you don't have a standard to appeal to. It's like, well, clearly neither do you. Jesus Christ, what the hell? But then they just pretend that they do. They're like, well, no, my subjective interpretation of what I think my God wants us to behave like based on my subjective interpretation of my doctrine, of my denomination, of my religion is the objective standard. I mean, come on, keep up.
How things were. And I just felt this overwhelming sense, like, you remember earlier, I told you, like, none of my family talked about Jesus. Like, this was a chance for me to.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to talk about a carpenter who was crucified 2,000 years ago all the time. Some people talk about him too much. You guys right now, you're bordering on that.
To share Jesus with someone and have a conversation with her. And it was someone I loved. It was my grandma.
Oh.
And I really wanted to, but I was too scared of what my family might think. I was too scared to have that conversation with her. But my heart was like burning through the whole situation. And she ended up passing away, and I didn't take the opportunity to have the conversation with her.
Man, that means her torture is on your head, not your God's fault, for torturing a grandma or anything, but to you for not saying the thing with it.
And it crushed me. Ever since then, it was I made a commitment to myself that I would not miss another opportunity. I would talk to people about Jesus. And so since then, I started just talking to people. I started having conversations. I realized probably 80% of the people you talk to, they love talking about this topic. They want to have conversations about this.
If y'all feel like, if you enjoy what's going on, bash that like button. If you feel like it, that'd be great. You know, I'd appreciate it. All right. Just want to throw that out there real quick.
Even if they have strong objections to it. And the more I did it, the more comfortable I got having conversations with people, the more I learned how to have conversations with people, how to introduce the
Still not a shred of fucking evidence. I just want to make that clear. Not a shred of evidence or argumentation at all.
topic. And then I realized in these conversations, half of them were with Chris.
Whoa, that's huge. Thank you so much. My God. What the hell? I don't even know what that is. But it feels like a lot. That's 50 of anything. It's awesome. Thank you so much. Thomas, what's up, dude? Said, God Jewel from a damp and chilly Stockholm city. Holy shit. Oh, it's awesome. Thank you. That's so cool. Click butt. Click on the butt. Do it. Click the butt. It's the butt ton. Did I not spell it right? I probably didn't. Did I? I think I misspelled it probably. Let's see. No, I spelled it right, just with the peach for the O, because it says butt, and then anyway, it's got, it's just funny, I think. But I have like a 12-year-old sense of humor, it seems. But some people like it. Okay, but no, thanks again, dude. That's awesome. I'm gonna put this back up there for a minute. Oh yeah, very cool. You're the best.
Christians, or who thought they were Christians, right? And so in these conversations, I realized there are so many people unequipped. I mean, I kind of already knew this as an atheist, but then it really started to sink in when I'm in the church and so many people don't know how to defend their faith. And so that's...
Yeah, why don't you give it a shot, man? Why don't you just, do the thing that you're saying that you can do so well?
When I became adamant that, like, I need to help equip these people, even though I don't know how to do that.
It seems like you still don't know how to do that because you haven't done it at all. And we're going on, what, 17 minutes now, not a single argument.
I need to figure out some way to help these people know that there are good arguments out there.
Trickery. I swear to God, with these people, everything is trickery. They can't just shoot you straight. Everything is just like roundabout. No, I'm getting to the evidence. No, he has it. Okay. He used to be an atheist and now he's a Christian because of all the evidence that he's, you could trust him. Okay. Now he used to think like an atheist and everything, and then followed all that evidence that he figured out. He's a smart guy. So, that's why you got to be a Christian and believe that Christianity is true, because, well, he has the evidence, he found it. What, you don't trust that this ex-atheist, he was an atheist. So, and then he found the evidence. So you got to, that's how they do it, because like a lot of, they depend on people being like, oh, well, I guess, he says that the evidence is there, and the guy did used to be an atheist, which means that he knows he's got a pretty high standard for like evidence. So I gotta be a Christian, I guess, because that's you can't go from being an atheist to a Christian, without having good evidence.
During this whole process, I had been making films, not as a director, but as the guy behind the camera, or the DP, or the editor. Lots of these films had been like horror films that I were working on, and different projects that I had been doing. And I really wanted to do something to kind of do a Christian film, so to speak. But I talked to my wife. I was like, well, Christian films suck. They're no good. And then how do you make a horror film that's a Christian film? We can't make that work. And
they do suck, man. And it's like, it's so weird too, because it's not. We used to always say, I remember my mom, she was like, well, we don't have the funding that the world has, we don't have the money that that Hollywood has, and all this type of stuff, right? But there are movies that they do have the money. There are some movies that they definitely have the fucking money, but they don't care about making a good film. that's the difference. It's not a question of funding. Most of the time, the people that are on that sign are very well funded. They have shitloads of money, but they also just don't give a shit about making a good piece of art. They give a shit about spreading their stupid weird message, and that's it.
She was like, she looked at me, she said, why don't you do a documentary based on the evidence that convinced you it was true? And I'm like, that's a great idea. I figured I'll go find some people who used to.
Oh, thank you. Answer said it's $5.45 US. Oh, it's still good. Oh yeah, no, that's cool. I figured it probably was like somewhere in there, right?
Be atheist, give their testimony of the reasons why they came to faith. And then she was like, well, no, why don't you go ahead and send emails to all of those books you read, all the authors?
Okay, I was going to say,
thinking they're not.
You can't send emails to books. They don't. Well, they don't have email accounts. You know, that's it's hard to have email accounts when you don't have hands. You know, you got to be able to sign into them, right? With your hands. Otherwise, I'm sure all books would have email account. They probably have their own social media accounts and everything, probably even their own YouTube channels and stuff, you know.
I'm going to respond, but I'll try. And so I started sending emails out to Frank Turek, Hugh Ross, all of these people. And one by one, the emails came in and they responded, yes, 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 to be interviewed. So I went, got plane tickets, flew out.
Sun Tzu's Art of War is like, oh, I got an email. I set this thing up forever ago. I think it's still on it. Yep, it's an AOL account, man. I almost forgot that this thing even existed. What a nice guy. I never get emails. Nobody ever emails books, you know? It's weird.
And just started grabbing interviews with no real plan. My idea was that I'm just going to take all the hard questions I had as an atheist and I'm going to lay it out on the people who know how to give the answers.
Cool. Why don't you do just that now? Just, you know, what is this like? No, we have the answers, but you got just go buy. Of course, there's always a grift attached to, because they can't just not be terrible. Yeah. So like, no, we have all of the answers and good evidence, answers to all those difficult questions. No, I'm not going to answer it myself. Go buy my movie. Go buy the movie. It's just $19.99. Like, wait, did you just say it was $2,000? It's $2,000. Is that what you just said? Maybe I did. Go buy the movie. And then you're going to get all of that information that'll definitely make it so that you will believe that Christianity is reasonable.
I ended up with 36 hours of content that I had to try to condense down to a movie.
I would say that's why it's a $2,000 movie, because really, it's like 18 movies all in one.
And through the whole 3-year process of putting it together, this was something I did. This was a passion project. It wasn't paying.
Oh, I remember MSN. Andrea said my dad's email address is an MSN account. I forgot about that shit. What about LiveJournal? Do you remember LiveJournal? I was reading through my old LiveJournal. I'm not going to tell you what it was because, boy, I was stupid. Holy shit.
The bills. So I had to take time, and it was completely the Holy Spirit taking over editing it, and it was the whole process was it's just crazy how what came together was more of a story.
Just going to be edited terribly, just constant like parts that are just meandering, just like the camera's just looking at the floor for 3 minutes and stuff. He's like, how did the Holy Spirit not catch that? I was relying on him to do the editing, and boy, I mean he dropped the ball. That's all I'm going to say there. It's not my fault. It's the Holy Spirit. Okay. Don't get mad at me if the movie sucks. It's the Holy Spirit's fault.
And it really flowed. And I was able to kind of put together some of the best arguments for the existence, even though I don't cover them.
I believe he didn't have a plan. It sounds like he still doesn't have a plan
in depth. I at least do it in a way that piques your curiosity and challenges you to go take a second look at Christianity.
Let's maybe just maybe give that a shot now. Let's just try that here now. Okay.
Because I think it's worth taking.
It seems like even he's getting annoyed. He's like, okay, now at some point you're going to have to actually make somewhat of a case for Christianity being true. Like, he's even getting annoyed. He's like, you just keep saying that you have the evidence. It reminds me of like the the part of the Bible that talks about like the 500 witnesses. So, like they're there. There was 500 eyewitnesses. And you're like, oh yeah, where are the eyewitnesses? There's 500 of them. Okay, they're okay, but where are the actual eyewitness accounts of these 500? I already told you there's 500 people with that where they saw what it was. They were there. Okay. The guy told me that there was 500 eyewitnesses. So you gonna deny what 500 witnesses saw? Shit, that's what I thought.
Taking a second look at.
That's so cool. So in a sense,
That's so cool.
the documentary is a byproduct of, I guess you could say, the lesson that you learned from that moment that you described with your grandma, plus your wife.
God, it's always something like that. Well, my grandma, made me feel like I needed to be a Christian.
Basically, kind of saying like you should share the information that moved you or that impacted
maybe just any information. He's like, oh, you got to watch the movie. So
you. I think your wife had a brilliant insight there, by the way, because I think that you worked through.
Oh, wow. They're still not going to cover it. I thought that he was like, oh, okay, just share some of the information. But now he's talking about the documentary. That's like, oh my God.
Cognitive dissonance, and you overcame the programming that you had been given by the culture that led you to believe that there is nothing here. It's all
The programming of the culture that is, magic isn't real. Carpenters don't come back to life and fly away into the clouds. Donkeys don't talk. Neither do snakes. All that programming that got you to think that stuff.
It's all nonsense. It's all silly. It's all crazy. And I relate to that so much. Like you're in a sense fighting an uphill battle.
What's up, John? Second John. I was like, well, how many Johns we had so far? Did all three of them show up yet? There's three of y'all, John. Okay. But anyway, John said 500 witnesses. That's nothing compared to how many people have said they have seen aliens. Are Christians going to say aliens are real now? They are, but turns out they're demons. So, that's it. All those alien sightings actually lend credence to the Christian worldview because of the demon thing.
Against so much misinformation that would tell you, because the clip that we're going to watch in a second here, that I'm going to play.
We are going to play a clip. Okay. So you literally can't explain any of the actual evidence at all, or just like any arguments that you found convincing at all. You got to just play a clip from your movie. I swear to God, like religion just creates marks. That's all it is. It's like they're like, no, man, the world would be a better place if we can make it so that so many people are gullible enough to be taken advantage of just on the fucking regular.
As a separate clip on the channel is going to deal with like evolution and origin of life stuff. But how many people believe
some interview
because
but I talked to some people. Check out this video. Buy my movie. Then you'll get all the evidence that you want.
Does evolution know God? That is such a dominant idea.
What?
Evolution has accounted for or explained all of these different things that make God totally unnecessary, obsolete.
Yeah, I don't think that's not how it works at all, dude. It's just the people that believe in God also say that evolution isn't true a lot of time. But there's plenty of people that aren't insane that also believe in God. They just acknowledge, because it's not believing. You're just acknowledging the reality of the research. That's it. There is nothing to believe in. It's demonstrative science. You acknowledge it or you don't. And a bunch of Christians that are fundamentalists just don't acknowledge the evidence.
Primitive. And that's like nothing could be further from the truth. It's a category error. It's a complete stretching of the breadth of the theory itself. There's just so many issues with that.
It's a straw man because nobody actually said this.
But if we were to go around and talk to 100 random people, they would say, yeah, well, evolution has basically solved that.
Right.
And so
Evolution has solved like the speciation, dude. That's it. Like, what the hell are you even talking? See, that's the problem. Like, Christians, they don't actually go learn anything about the stuff that they're so angry about and don't believe in or whatever. They just like assume that it's a bunch of things they don't understand. And they just sort of put like, abiogenesis, cosmology, like all of these things, and like evolution by natural selection, like they put it all together in this one box labeled evolution, and they're like, that's all of that stuff, and that's that proves God's not real. None of that is true. Jesus. Even like Big Bang cosmology doesn't prove that God doesn't exist. You could say that God is some like thing that we can't see that just caused the Big Bang. Like it's in the quantum scalar field, it's the thing within the quantum scalar field that makes like stuff come in and out of existence or whatever and caused the expansion to begin with. That you could easily say that it doesn't disprove God or anything like that. It's just the people that do believe in God a lot of times say that those things are false.
So I think your wife had a brilliant insight. Like, why don't you walk people through the unraveling of that baked in paradigm that you had, and how did the pieces start to fall off of that, and how did you start to become more warm to what Stephen Meyer would call the God hypothesis?
Yeah, so I'm not taking lessons on evolution from the religious nut. Yeah, good call.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I structured the film in such a way I did. You could probably get through the first 20 minutes and not even realize you're watching a documentary about God.
Oh, so it's almost like From Dusk Till Dawn. You get like halfway through that movie, you don't even know you're watching a vampire movie. Sorry, spoilers. Sorry, shit, my bad. It might be a vampire movie. It might not be. I don't know. You're just gonna have to watch the whole movie until the end. But Seth Gecko is pretty badass, though, right? That's probably George Clooney at his finest, I would say. Richie, though, that guy's a sick fuck. Why do they even need to write that guy into the story? We could have had just Seth. You know what I mean? We could do without Richie. Why is he always writing himself as a sicko too? What's up with that? That's kind of weird, right? It's like he's constantly a grapist. Like, doesn't matter what movie he writes himself into. He's like, I feel like a grapist should be here. I should play that, actually. I have that look, Grapists always have chins that are way too big. You notice that? And they're balding for some reason. Anyway.
Because I'm going in, I'm using the approach in the way that I think a lot of people need to hear it. Because so many people have heard all of the Christian language, so to speak, that if they're just hit with that up front, they're going to automatically shut the door and turn away because of things like what you've said.
Maybe just try any language to demonstrate that what you're saying is actually reasonable. Let's do that. Because you literally haven't said anything this entire fucking time.
They have this idea of what Christianity is. And unfortunately, that idea couldn't be further from the truth.
So for those who are interested in, we're talking about it, but for those who actually want to watch,
we're talking about it. That's the thing. The movie actually that we are discussing at the moment is the movie that we're discussing.
Documentary for themselves. Where do they go? How do we? What's the easiest way for someone to access your film?
It's available on all the major streaming platforms. So you can go to Amazon, you can go to Google,
Netflix,
Fandango, Apple TV, any major streaming platform.
It's Netflix. No,
you can go on there and rent it or purchase it. And then
just Prime, basically, is what you're saying. Just Prime. That's the only one you got.
In addition, you can go to my website, which will have links.
What even is the name of it? Did they even say what it's called?
To all of those as well. And my website will have additional resources from all of the scholars that are in the films. Because like I said, the film can't build the complete case, but it can pique your curiosity.
The Christian scholars that are experts in Christianology.
And then challenge you to go and do the research yourself. And then challenge you to use this as an evangelistic tool. I mean, this is the film you invite people to see, and it's a good conversation starter.
Don't call it a film, please. Let's, that's reserved for actual movies, like Daniel Day-Lewis type shit, you know?
It's great to screen in your churches if you're interested in screening in your churches. I'll have information on that on my
There you go. Yeah, always got information on how you can watch the movie in groups.
website as well. And so, I would challenge you to watch the film.
I would challenge you to literally, well, first tell us what the hell is the name of the goddamn film, man. Y'all suck at this. You are so bad at what you're anyway. But man, I would challenge you to just say some of the stuff. Give us some of the highlights of the brilliant scholarship level evidence that you got going on here.
Share it with others and get the conversation started.
What even is the name of it? Oh, Universe Design. Okay. Jesus. Unbelievable, dude. What nonsense. This is just like, you know, doing what I do here, you would think that at some point, and sure, I have like a cynical view about this type of stuff, but at some point, I feel like if Christianity were true, at some point, I would be like forced doing what I do to like have to acknowledge that there is good reasons to believe in Christianity, given that all I do is just scroll through their YouTube, right? And just constantly just look through all of their claims, all of, all that type of stuff. And you would think eventually I would come across something that would be like, oh man, this is definite. This is like a good reason to believe that these claims are true. All I've ever come across doing what I do is that these people are liars. All they do is lie. Everything is dishonest. And it's almost like they even know that it is a lot of times. That's why I always bring up like the abortion clinics or whatever. They set up fake abortion clinics so they can trick people into thinking that the abortion clinic that it is an abortion clinic when it's an anti-abortion clinic with no medical credentials at all. They're just there to show you a bunch of videos that are like, look, they're gonna vacuum out your baby like a Saw movie, look at that, whatever, just to freak you out so that you don't get it. You don't get the abortion. Like everything they do is dishonest. It's crazy. It's just sad. It's like, why does anybody? They're literally just a bunch of con men. Just straight up. What did I just see? Thought I saw Drew or something. No? Okay. What time is it? How long have we been going? Let me see here. 2 hours. Okay, so we got a little bit more time. We'll watch a bit more. Urgent alert. Nigerian Christians facing imminent attacks. God, they're really obsessed with that. Don't give a crap about, the genocide that we are currently funding or anything, but super concerned about the alleged Christians that are in trouble. What's really going on with Nick Fuentes? Oh, I kind of feel like I need to watch this. Okay, so we're gonna get ready for Jim Carrey's Christian dad, to tell us about why Nick Fuentes is wrong.
Nick Fuentes.
You have a demographic that has been so reviled for so long.
Why are young
age like milk?
So you want?
You're a fan of Stalin's. You're a fan of Stalin's. You're a fan of Stalin's.
Oh, he's an admirer. Women don't age like wine; they age like milk.
So you want women to have the same treatment as women have under Taliban rule in Afghanistan?
Something approximating that, okay. Yeah.
Why are young men and why are young Christian men drawn to one Nick Fuentes?
Because this is the logical follow through with your religious beliefs, your authoritarian religious beliefs that everybody but you and your group, and say everybody's immoral for not being my thing, which is the basis of Christianity. Of course, it's going to lead to people like Nick Fuentes.
Of a demographic that has been so reviled for so long, eventually that is going to cause some cultural blowback.
Men are going, we just have had enough of this, and they're attracted to the tough guy.
Our entirely porn-drenched culture breeds a hatred of women, and it breeds a...
It's the porn drenched. Wouldn't that make people like women? First of all, you're never going to believe this. There's some porn that doesn't even have women in it. I know. They don't even think that's possible. There is, though. But second of all, wouldn't that make you like women? Isn't it supposed to make you like women? What the hell is this? Why is it? And this is such a common theme. And it seems like this happens a lot with the people that are terrible people that watch porn, and then they hate the people in the porn. Like, I'm just so confused by that. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you watching them then if you hate them so much? Like, what is going on there?
Hatred of self.
Postmodernism has set men and women against one another.
It's the HRification of the entire society.
That's a great way to put it. Not interested.
HRification. Wow. Brilliant. You know, that thing that looks out for the humans at a workplace so that they're not being mistreated and stuff. Stupid HR.
Interested in the lightning rod, nor am I all that interested in the lightning. It is the cause of the lightning that should cause every single...
Weirdo said, unfortunately, Nigeria is apparently in an actual really awful state right now. One of my old neighbors from when I was a kid is from Nigeria and visits back there regularly / has family still there. Oh shit. Yeah, that sucks. I do feel like there's a lot of shitty shit going on in the world right now, and I guarantee that, you know, there probably has something to do with the US doing some shit over there. You know, destabilizing governments and stuff because we want something, right? And then we head out and don't even give a shit about the fallout after the thing we did to, you know, make it so that we can have the ruler there that we wanted, so that we could have access to the resources there. Then we take the resources and then we're like, bye, and that's it. And then the place just falls to pieces, and we're like, sorry, don't come here. Don't come here. This, you know, that's the... And they're like, hold on, but you're the reason that our place is fucked up. Now we can't go there either. No. We will deport you. We'll deport you whether you're from somewhere else or not. We just, you know, we just really like deporting people. Whether they're from America or not, doesn't matter. Hey, Bree, what's going on? Hell yeah. So back from walking the dog. Hell yeah. That's a dominatrix euphemism. Yeah. Eutharism. Right? I know what you're talking about. I've done that kind of stuff too. You know, I got some dog collars back there. They're hanging up on the wall. No, I took them down. Oh, because I was using them in the other room, dungeon room.
A Christian to ask, what is going on out there? When somebody who's, well, I wouldn't say I'm non-political or apolitical, but I'm not all that political. But when I feel something going on in the political realm, specifically when it involves the Jewish people, when it involves conversations about church and state relations, when it involves moral subjects like racism, I ask myself the question, what's brewing here theologically? And so it is, we're confronted.
The Christians are doing bad stuff. Again, they got too much power, too much privilege, and then they say that God's on their side no matter what, so they can do whatever they want, and everybody has to deal with it.
Confronted with a real firestorm right now, courtesy of one Nick Fuentes, social media maven, who is having a very powerful influence on what we would call the political far right. He's the lightning rod. The lightning, I think, are all of the issues that he is causing to bring to all of our attention. But I want to ask the question, what's causing this? What's going on behind this? If you haven't been following the Nick Fuentes story, I think that it is...
I love that, like, people have such a hard time saying his name. Nick Fuentes.
worthy of our consideration, not because it's a political issue as much as I believe it's a theological issue.
What is a maven?
To help us sort
Windmill said Fuentes is a maven now. What is a maven? What's that?
this, I need help. Did I just say that out loud? I'm a talk show host. I need help. Why?
Are
Because
you? Oh yeah, you're not allowed to say that you need help. We're never look. If you have a platform, first of all, you know all of your thoughts about everything. You're not undecided about anything. And second of all, you got it all together. And third, we never ask for help. Okay. The people that ask for help are losers. Okay.
I've got both feet pretty much in the theological world, and I just kind of look over into the political realm. I'm kind of aware, but I am not nearly as
What's up, Chixie? How are we doing?
knowledgeable on the subject as our very special guest. Perhaps you read her book, Shepherds for Sale,
I did read Shepherds for Sale. No, I didn't.
published by our good friends at
I
HarperCollins.
missed it. I like the idea of the pastor with the strings, like they're puppets.
It is Megan Basham,
Pretty
who
good.
I had the
Pretty
chance
good.
to see at the MacArthur Memorial just a couple of months ago.
Just he sounded like
Book Shepherds for Sale,
hear that
published
again.
by our good friends at HarperCollins. It is Megan Basham, who I had the chance to see at the MacArthur Memorial just a couple of months ago. She is, of course, at the
What was that about, dude? Whoa, that did not go down right. I just dropped my Tic Tac, and when I picked it back up to put it in my mouth, I did it without looking, and then it turns out it was a raisin from 6 months ago. So there we go.
the Daily Wire, and she is one who understands both of these realms.
Yeah, that's it. No, yeah, the Daily Wire. They understand. What is it that they understand? Nothing. That's
Far better than I do, and so I asked Megan to join us to help us understand what's going on in the political landscape so we can understand what is going on theologically so that we as
that's not a raisin. I'm sorry. Rat poop. I meant that's what
Christians can actually participate in this conversation from a Christian standpoint.
Well, it could have been a lizard. Lizard have a little white. They have a little white piece on the side. That's how you can tell the difference between rat and lizard. Anyway, that's
Megan, thank you very much for joining us. Congrats on the massive success of your book, Shepherds for Sale. That thing was a juggernaut.
Yeah, it was, for good or
tilty. Okay, I thought, hey, titty. What? We got a titty in the who's titty? What?
ill. It caused a lot of conversation.
Yeah, you were the
Titty shows up. I'm Titty. How you doing? What's going on?
lightning. You were the light.
Eyes up here, buddy. Eyes up here. All right, come on.
Was a
rod
lightning
and the
rod
lightning.
for a while.
Yeah, you were definitely it. All right. For those people who are not initiated in what's happening in Nick Fuentes' world and the
Okay.
fallout that has
My
happened
God.
because
God, he's like the biggest idiot. Like it's just so weird the way that people like fawn over this nut job.
of this fellow, with people that you certainly know, Ben
He
Shapiro.
like has his fucking. He like wears his stupid suit. Like his whole aesthetic is like insane. Like he has his like suit and tie, and then he has like this America First fucking program, and it looks like he's like in some kind of warehouse or something, like a warehouse, like at the top of a building or something. I don't know. It looks really strange. It's like it reminds me of that scene from Die Hard. Remember how he's like in Die Hard, he like goes up and like the upper floors are like still under construction and stuff. That's what it looks like. It looks like one of the floors from Die Hard that are still under construction.
Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. It seems that there's trouble in paradise on the political
What are you
right.
talking
Set the table for us.
He's a radio guy, and that's not a good explanation for why he talks like that, but that's all that anybody really seems to be able to come up with.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Not that I'm, I talk so fucking normal or anything, but
So for those who don't pay close attention and don't know who Nick Fuentes is,
I was going to say, well, to the first part, that's just your entire audience. If it's the Daily Wire,
he is, I actually hesitate to characterize him as someone on the right.
What? He is the epitome of on the right. I know you don't like to think of it that way because, you know, with that stuff, what is it called? Cognitive dissonance. But he is every one of your beliefs just a little bit further, you know, just a little bit harder. He has your beliefs just slightly harder.
Because he is for top-down authoritarianism. And I would say that the hallmark of conservatism is that we believe in decentralized power. We believe in individual rights. And someone like a Nick Fuentes is on what you might call the fascist.
That's insane, dude. It's so funny that they actually think that. You know, yeah, we believe in top down. That's why we voted for the guy that's a billionaire that's making it so that he and other billionaires have way more power than everybody else. And they get to send their little fucking federal army of racist thugs around to go beat up brown people and you know, take them to torture prisons and in other countries and shit.
Part of the political spectrum. So there's always a debate about whether or not should this person even be put on the right, and I might challenge that. But what we do know is he's not an admiral.
Well, how does he vote? Who does he support? You know, so he supports the left, huh? He's a leftist. That's it. Yeah, he does. It's so crazy that you can actually think that they believe in decentralized power when the right, like Republicans, are all about top-down authoritarianism. They always have been. That's so weird. It's crazy that they can say stuff like that when it's just like, what, man? Like, y'all are like obsessed with the police. Anybody that protests the police, you think is evil. It's crazy.
Horrible fellow. Let's put it that way. So he's a young influencer. I think he's about 26 years old, maybe. He has a podcast.
22. I think they're 23 now.
And the size of the audience of that podcast is one of those things that is, again, debatable. But what he talks about and what he...
We don't know how big his audience really is. You know, he probably bought a bunch of bots. That's what it is. You know, he's got bots.
Advocates on that podcast is racial partiality, racial hatred. He will make comments. He says they're jokes. His fans say they're jokes. But you joke enough and some truth comes through about being a fan of Hitler, being...
No, it's not Joe. I mean, it's funny the way that they have to characterize this stuff. They say they're joking, but no, the joking thing is just so they can always have themselves an out, right? That way they can't ever be like saying that they definitively said something because, you know, the criticism or whatnot that they would get for actually saying the thing. I was just joking. It's just like, the way that Elon Musk was like, oh no, I was saying my heart goes out to you. That's what I was saying. Because they always have to give themselves an out because they're fucking cowards. That's why. They're too scared to just own their shit.
A fan of Stalin. He thinks the Nazis had it right. He is very anti-Semitic.
It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. And
it's so funny you said 12. Like that is just the Republican age, right? They're 12. They're all just 12 all the time. Everything they say and think and find funny and think is smart and think is cool. It's 12. Everything is 12. You know, Trump, mentally 12. You know, read his posts. It's like if a 12-year-old, like if you went and got like a 4chan list of like posts on 4chan from an actual 12-year-old and put them alongside of Trump, you wouldn't be able to tell whose is whose, you know?
It's Joseph Stalin's birthday. Oh, I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's.
Mm-hmm. Always an admirer.
He also
I'm a fan.
Has strange...
Even Tucker, like, you're a fan of Stalin. Well, I would say that's not okay.
Recommendations regarding things like pornography use. And marry, like he just recently said, well, when I turn 30, I'm going to marry a 16-year-old child bride.
Women don't age like wine. They age like milk. They don't age like wine. That's not how their hormones work. That's not how they work. Yeah, I gotta find my 16-year-old wife.
God, they're disgusting, dude. And again, like, it's no surprise that this guy's on the right, you know, with all the people on the Epstein thing and stuff.
Probably when I turn 30 or something. I want a 16-year-old that's untouched, pristine.
God.
untouched,
You're untouched and definitely not pristine.
uncorrupted, innocent. That's what we all want.
See, doesn't this thing look like the scene from Die Hard when he fights the first guy that, he breaks his neck when they fall down the stairs?
So he will say offensive, bizarre things
Right?
like that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's a lightning rod, and yet there's lightning.
Cruise Trip said the way you explain that is when a so-called friend say something offensive and douchey and says it's just a joke, man, and then they act offended. Yeah, exactly. Hey, calm down. We're just joking. Look at this guy getting all worked up. Calm down. Like, it's gaslighting at its absolute worst.
Is getting attracted to who's getting attracted to Nick Fuentes?
Well, and so that is the debate.
Not any girls. Or, I'm sorry, girls. Wow, I'm sounding like, see, they call women girls too much now. Now I'm starting to say, anyway, women, not any women.
Todd. So recently, Tucker Carlson did an interview with Nick Fuentes. And I would say before this, Nick Fuentes was someone who was known, but was treated as very hands-off, and I think legitimately so. That
Hands off, of his
interview was not what an interview with someone like Nick Fuentes should be.
He admitted that he's never been with a woman. He said that he's literally just an incel that just kind of like broke into the neo-Nazi world as well.
Now, as a journalist,
Which I think there's a lot of overlap there. That Venn diagram of incel and neo-Nazi, there's quite a bit of overlap there. It's a sideways 8. You know what I mean?
I am someone who
I'm sorry, a circle, just a circle. That's all.
says, look, if it is a newsmaker, they are fair game for an interview. I don't criticize interviewing that person, but I watched the interview and it did not include hard-hitting questions. Again and again, Nick Fuentes would say things that were his typical provocative style, and Tucker Carlson did not push on him. He would say things like, I'm a huge fan of Stalin. And Tucker Carlson said, let's come back to this, and never did come back to it.
No, I've
Tucker Carlson is basically the same thing, dude. He just knows better than to say this stuff so explicitly. But everything he believes is the stuff Nick Fuentes believes, but implicitly. You know what I mean?
The Tucker Carlson rebuttal to the accusations that it was a softball interview, claiming, hey, this is a big deal. What's happening, whether you want to call it far.
Totally been with Destiny. Yeah, them too. That night. Whoa. I remember that video. Y'all seen that? They had sex. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Right, the fascist quarter, the Nick Fuentes Center. Mm-hmm. It's being followed by a lot of young men, and Tucker, his response to the accusations, you kind of biffed it on this one, was to say, hey, I'm not looking to get into a fight. I'm looking to understand this demographic, why it is that a guy like Nick Fuentes is
Is he defending Tucker Carlson's softball interview with Nick Fuentes? Are you fucking kidding me?
Popular at all. That was his excuse. Your take?
Yes. And, I'll be totally transparent that I know Tucker, I consider him a friend, and I disagree with that assessment, because I think to understand what's drawing young men to the type of content that Nick Fuentes produces, you do actually have to ask those hard-hitting questions. When someone says, I'm a big fan of Stalin, there should be a record scratch, and we should drill down on that. And we should go, okay, hold on a minute. Talk to me about that. Why are you a fan of Stalin? Why would you say something provocative like that? He murdered, millions and millions of people. Are you a fan of that? And so those should be natural follow-up questions that would help you understand, okay, what are young men thinking these days? Because we shouldn't just approach this as, any thought is legitimate. If they are having deeply unrighteous, sinful thoughts, then let's talk to them about that. And I think part of that interview is to acknowledge that.
You gotta check this out. Hold on. It's a Groyper getting knocked in the face, dude. Hard. It is just delightful. Hold on. I gotta find it real quick. Man, it's beautiful. Okay. Oh, I think it just happened.
You invited him to your fucking club.
Wait.
You gave him a ticket. Oh,
Whoa, whoa. One more time, y'all. One more time. Can I maximize this? All right, let's take it to the max. All right, one more time. One more time. See this groiper. And the sad thing is, and this is really funny. Turns out this guy, because so here, let me play the whole thing, just so we can kind of like walk. And apologies if there's any like language on here and stuff. I haven't watched this yet, and it is on X, so you know they don't have any policies about bigoted language and everything. So you know, be on the lookout for that. But here we go.
You invited him to your fucking club. You gave him a ticket.
Okay, I guess they didn't play the whole beginning. But yeah, there was like a whole exchange with this guy and like other people. But turns out this guy that hit him thought that he was a leftist. So he he hit one of his own people thinking they're left. Because man, people on the right are just geniuses. They're so angry and just wanting to hurt anybody that they accidentally just start punching each other willy-nilly here. All right, one more time. Sorry. Oh man, look at that, right? Just mid slap.
Whoa! You gave him a ticket to your fucking club. Whoa! You gave him a ticket to your fucking club.
All right, I'm done. I'm sorry. I had to. That's one of the funniest things that's happened ever. Okay. Back to this other crap that we're actually watching.
That fandom of Stalin or Hitler or Nazism, these are negative things, and to have any sort of moral coherence in the interview, you at least need to acknowledge that. So
why do you suppose Tucker? We've seen Tucker. He can go after people with a Ginsu knife and just carve them up. Why didn't he do that with Nick?
That's a really good question, and I don't know. So that's maybe one.
Can you imagine? He can just go after Tucker Carlson. Well, he's a knife guy. Okay. You ever seen The Expendables? Well, Tucker Carlson is actually a character that was a little, he didn't actually make it in the final. Could you imagine Tucker Carlson fighting anybody? Like, he would just run away. He wouldn't actually ever fight. I don't think he wouldn't even be there to be able to be slapped by the big weirdo, because he would just run away. But I would love to see him fight anybody. With a knife or without, doesn't matter. He's still going to get his ass beat.
That I need to put to him, that I think others have put to him. But the immediate reaction from people like my boss, Ben Shapiro, was no, we are not going.
That's your boss? Oh, that sucks to be you, lady. Oh, man. And your whole business is just tanking. From what I understand, they're literally buying views now.
Model Nazism and anti-Semitism in the conservative movement, and I think that is the right response. Even as
Cruise Trip is like, hey, now, 12-year-olds are people too. Okay, don't be talking like that about 12-year-olds.
Acknowledge that there are problems with young men that are driving them to guys like Nick Fuentes.
So let's go there, because I think from my perspective, this is where the story actually is. We don't know the numbers, but it's a force. Young men, we'll call them Gen Zs.
What are these guys? Okay, Cyclops. Like, what do you think is happening here, dude? What is that? It's like, Jesus Christ, man.
Maybe moving a little bit into the millennial generation.
Oh, but that was the point of what I was saying. That's why I was showing you that clip. Because Nick Fuentes was there when that guy got slapped, right? He was there. And if you watch right after, the dude, like that guy that got slapped, goes up to Nick Fuentes and he's like, hey, this big guy just slapped the crap out of me. And Nick Fuentes is like, oh. And then just turns around and bolts. Like, he just walks, he just beelines it, just straight out there, man. It's so funny. Oh, God, it's incredible.
They dig this guy. Why? Why would they dig somebody who makes jokes about liking Stalin and Hitler? Because, Megan, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, a guy like that would have just been totally relegated and cast aside as a kook.
I know, but it's almost as if we've had like 20 years of right-wing internet trolls to just kind of like, soften everybody's brains up till they're just smooth nothings.
Why are young men digging
everybody on the right? I mean, not everybody, just people on the right.
in him?
Well, that's an important question. And I want to preface my response by saying I am still not totally convinced how big Nick Fuentes' audience is. So Tucker says it's large. I hear other people say it's large. Something that happened on X, the social media platform, just in the last couple
the social media platform, okay,
of days has sort of thrown into question
I thought they were talking about the porn site, but that was Twi-X's short of the porn site.
Is Nick Fuentes' audience, because Elon Musk outrolled a new feature where you can see where accounts are based. So it turned out that a lot of these very large Nick Fuentes fan accounts are based in places like Bangladesh, India, Nigeria, Thailand. So there was a question.
Because again, your marks, all of y'all are just gullible dipshit marks that are so easily taken advantage of by anybody, even people that aren't, that barely know our language, that are out there pretending to be right wingers on the computer. Jesus Christ.
About, okay, how real is this and how much of this is an astroturf? So
but
that is
still, hold on, but like, the people are still following. Like, just because the account is from India doesn't mean that the ideas are not gaining traction by actual people. People are following those accounts because the things that they are saying are, things that a lot of people are easily manipulated into finding attractive or whatever, because like it needles at their fear, hate, and the what is it called? Motivated reasoning to believe that they are better than the others.
Something to think about. But at the same time, I do want to say, because I have wondered, okay, where is this coming from? And I asked some pastors that I know pastor large churches. There are conflicting reports about how big Nick Fuentes' audience is. And they have told me, yes, they believe that some of it is astroturf, but they also know that young men in their churches are listening to him.
And I want to drill down
That's
on
so
that.
funny too, that it's people in churches. This is why when these idiots try to sit here and say that, oh man, we are the moral majority and we are just so much more we have a better grasp on ethics and morality. You're a fucking joke, and the reason that they can latch on to somebody like him is because, like I was saying before, it's like it just is all their beliefs just taken to like a step, like one step extra. It's all their beliefs, but just one extra step. And then he just says the stuff that most of them would be like, well, you're supposed to think that stuff, but you don't say it, saying like the quiet part out loud kind of shit, because most of the people on the right hate everybody except for the people in their group, and they hate any other race and stuff like that, unless the member of that race says that they hate the other members of that race. And then they like them only enough as they say that kind of stuff and keep saying it. But yeah, it just all is Nazi beliefs.
Why are young men and why are young Christian men drawn to one Nick Fuentes?
Okay, so I actually want to draw on something that ironically Charlie Kirk said to Tucker Carlson in one of their final interviews. And he talked about how you don't want
God is love, but he attracts, people like Nick Fuentes to just hate everybody. But God is love. He just happens to have a religion that attracts people that do the opposite of that love thing.
To feed the grievance of the young men. It's bad to feed a grievance mentality generally, but there are legitimate grievances. There is the fact that young
it's like it's bad to it's bad to how did you say it? It's bad to like have a grievance mentality. And it's like when you're not white, straight, cisgendered, or Christian, it's not okay to have to say your grievances out loud. But if you're white, straight, and Christian, say all your grievances, okay? Because you matter more than all those other demographics.
White men in particular have been targeted as public enemy number one for a couple of decades now. So what they have been repeatedly told.
That's what I'm saying. So they're just literally saying their arguments now. Now she's going to be like, now he's bad, but white men are mistreated, you know? They're treated unfairly. Like you're just providing cover for like the people that think exactly the way he thinks.
Is that their sexual identity as men and their skin color as whiteness is public enemy number one. So they've been denigrated, and that's gone on for a really long time. And I think we have gotten to the point now where
what is denigrated? Whiteness
color as whiteness is public enemy number one. So they've been denigrated, and that's gone on for a really long time. And I think we have gotten to the point now where you have a demographic that has been so reviled for so long. They're now identifying with that reviling. If you're going to call me...
Dude, first of all, it's not a thing, man. Whiteness is not a thing. It is the negation of a thing. This is why this is so dumb. Like what whiteness is just the saying that they are not a person of color. That's what they are. They're not a thing. They're not a thing. And so that's why when they say, like somebody says they're proud to be black, whatever, that's not a problem. But when somebody says they're proud to be white, that is because they're the majority, right? That's one thing. But then secondly, they're saying that they're proud to not be black. Basically, when they say that they're proud to be white, that's the problem there. Is their identity is completely based on what they are not. Race one.
A white racist, if you're going to say that my skin color is privileging me in some way that is unfair, if you're going to denigrate me as part of my identity, if you're going to have HR departments all over the country who don't want to let me into their schools or don't want to hire me because I'm not the right demographic, eventually that is...
What the hell are you talking about, dude? Really? That is such bullshit. I mean, like, what is she even just like alluding to here? Is this some DEI like the quotas bullshit? Because it's not even real. DEI does not have quotas.
Going to cause some cultural blowback, and I think that has happened. And the difficult thing is we have to say that while acknowledging that it's sin.
Yeah, that's really fascinating.
Oh, and we're still Christian here. Okay, so yeah, poor whites, all those poor whites. They're treated unfairly, and they matter. Okay, but Christianity, though, that too,
Hey, if you're going to label me that, fine, game on. Then I'll play that role because I'm not concerned about your critique because you've already slandered me enough. That's a fascinating perspective on this.
Label you what? White? What are you talking about?
Is a part of it, though, too, in addition to that, Megan, is it just, look, that's enough of this, man. I've had it with all of this, and they just want to fight back.
Yes, I think that is absolutely what's going on. And look, I think there are...
Against what, man? This is what doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, dude, you guys were the problem the whole... Like, here's the thing. It's like when they are acting like it's time for us to fight back against who? What? People advocating for their rights because they're people of color or whatever? And they're like, well, now we got to fight back because we're public enemy number one. Like, what the hell are you even talking about, dude? We're saying like white supremacists are public enemy, But if you're not claiming to be a white supremacist, then nobody's coming after you, man.
Other economic factors playing into this. When you have a generation of young men, and we know that this is true statistically in sociological research, that they're not dating. They're not asking women out. They're not getting married. They're not having babies.
Hey, Helen, what's going on? How you doing? Hey, sweet potato. I hate those. Okay. I'm a pumpkin pie, not a sweet potato pie. That's for sure. Those things taste terrible. Have you ever had sweet potato fries? Terrible. What the hell? Anytime I see orange fries, I'm like, I get a little nervous. But sometimes, they just taste like the kind from Checkers or Rallies, depending upon where you are in the country. If you're in this country,
So they're not becoming leaders of households. You have a generation of unmoored young men. And young men unmoored are
There
typically
he is. Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting that I got to check the other chats. There's other, So were you chatting in the other chats? All right, my bad. And there might be like 4 of these. I don't know, because now with the vertical stuff, they're like trying to make options so that it'll just double them up and make a vertical version. But like, I already do the vertical version through StreamYard, so I think there might be 4 out there. I'm not sure. But
attracted to destructive things. We have seen that throughout history. So
Well, they want a rallying cry. They want to do manly things.
Right.
no, they're just angry white people that are just mad. And the sad thing is they keep supporting regimes that make things worse for themselves because of their hatred of other people, like other groups of people that are not in their demographic. And so they're basically like making their own lives worse because they're voting in ways that will hurt everybody. But but at least if they're hurting the other people, then it's okay. Like we'll take everything away from everybody, anything that helps anybody, as long as the brown people don't get it. You know what I mean? That's how sad it is. So then they just keep getting more and more angry, and no, when they're really mad at themselves for being stupid, but they'll never acknowledge that.
They're just aimed in the wrong direction. But Megan, there's so many factors and forces that I think are pressing in on young men. You're right. Just the calling all young white heterosexual males the problem. They are the cause for everything bad in America. That
The fuck are you talking about? Nobody has said that unless you're just see what I'm saying. They like do this reductionist bullshit where they just completely they say that we're just saying this is like, oh, the young white men, they're the problem. No, nobody's saying that, dude. Like, what are you talking about? When we talk about like, white people being in it, or like people like, oh, fucking white people, am I right? Like it's a response usually to some racist doing a thing.
message, it does start to impact a young man. But I also think, though, that postmodernism has set men and women against one another because we've just been told it's all about me. And when you think that you're the center of the universe, well,
Is that what postmodernism says? I guess I need to get the postmodernism book that these folks read from, because I didn't know that it was all just about me.
Guess what? Everybody else becomes a threat. Everybody else is a danger. And I think
it's you guys. Oh my God, this is so weird. Again, they're a projection factory. Everything they do, it's like everything they're saying about other people or shit that they do. They're like, everybody else becomes a threat. That's you guys, man. Anybody that's not a Christian is like a fucking threat now. If they're attracted to the wrong person, according to you, now they're a threat to the family unit. They're destroying your family because they're gay and want to get married. And they're like, well, my family explodes every time a gay person gets married.
In part, men think that women, they're kind of a threat. Women think men are a threat. And we pitted the...
Now women know that men are a threat a lot of the time. That's just a fact, man. That's what the data reflects.
Genders, not just the skin colors, but the genders against one another. Critical race theory, postmodernism is playing a part of that. But I wanted
postmodernism is playing a role in it. That's probably the most accurate thing he said so far. But I don't think he understands either of those concepts enough to understand why that would actually be an accurate statement. Mainly because the postmodernism is a lot about looking back at power structures and things like that, and seeing how those power structures had shaped our narrative of history and everything, right? But and critical race theory is like an undergraduate law study or whatever, law course or whatever, like major or something like that. But it's like it's a law school thing, but they act like it's just everywhere. But it's all about just seeing the power structures and showing how like the systemic racism is sort of built into all these other structures that we have. And you can't really get rid of racism if we still have all these power structures in place that make it so that Black people are underprivileged on purpose, not by the individuals, but by the systems that those individuals are then protecting.
Dive into, more importantly, the theology. These are young Christian men that are falling for this. As best you can tell, and you've been prudent in not wanting to give too much credit to Nick Fuentes for his reach, and I appreciate that. Who are these Christian young men? What are we talking about? Are they Roman Catholic, Protestant, Reformed? Who are these young men?
Well, I think to a large degree, you're seeing Catholics and Reformed Christians, I hate to say it, but that is true, who are being attracted to not just Nick Fuentes, but you might call them Nick Fuentes imitators. And those imitators who are cropping up on the right wear the mantle of pastor. And they claim to be pastors. They claim to be leaders of churches. So you're seeing these kind of podcasts and these influencers pop up. Their names aren't as well known, but they're out there. And so you have this Nick Fuentes impact that's spreading through the church, through guys who are not like Nick Fuentes. They actually say, yeah, we're pastors, we're pastoring a church. We are basing this on biblical ideas, though I would say they are extremely twisted biblical ideas. So you brought up the enmity between men and women in this generation. And what's difficult is these guys will start with a strong kernel of truth. And that is that we have a deeply feminized culture where women are dominating, men are denigrated.
Yeah, women are just dominating the world right now.
A toxic masculinity.
Can't even have a woman president in the U.S. Just ever, but dominating. I mean, what? It's like 10-1 in Congress to like any leadership role. It's like non-existent. Like women barely exist in those spaces of power. But yeah, they're just
which is the gift of maleness and masculinity and leadership that we need in our culture has been so denigrated that men feel like they have no place and they have no role. So that's all true. But then what they will do is they will
Breeze. What? Where have you been? Like, Breach gonna just like, oh, sorry, I got distracted about. Yes, I actually am a dominatrix, so I just wanted to pop in to make that clear. What are you all talking about now?
take that kernel of truth and they will exaggerate and magnify it.
But I did already know that because people talk, and that made me think you're that much more awesome too. By the way, I mean you were already awesome, but I just upped it a bit
to something like, and I have experienced this personally, women shouldn't have social media platforms because that's teaching in public. So they have gone to this very legalistic.
Oh, because the Bible says that women can't teach men. So yeah, so it's kind of like the source material is the fucking problem,
Pharisaical place that is not biblical. So if you'll say, okay, chapter and verse, why can't a woman have a Facebook account or, an Instagram account? They can't answer that, but they will say, for example, that women are not to challenge men on their sin. So just recently, Allie Beth Stuckey gave a speech at a women's conference to other women where she mentioned the problem of male use of pornography, that this is destructive, that it's destroying marriages.
How dare she? She better not talk about my favorite activity, or it accompanies my favorite activity. Yeah,
destroying opportunities to form relationships. And these men, like Nick Fuentes and his imitators, said you should be in the kitchen baking a pie, not rebuking us for our sin.
Oh man, you can't.
Right. All right. So you're saying
you can't say that, even though that embodies pretty much all of my beliefs, start to finish. But yeah, no, you can't say it though. That's the thing. See, this is the problem with these kinds of Christian beliefs: is they are everything that Nick Fuentes is saying. It's just that y'all do this tiptoeing, beating around the bush shit, while he just says it, and so does all the groupies. But and this is all the stuff that people like this guy would say. The guy nodding out on heroin, it seems at the moment. It's like the stuff they would say if they weren't being filmed by a camera right now. If they were at dinner they would say shit like, yeah, well, women should just be at the kitchen. The problem is all these women going to college, getting jobs, and thinking that they can just be just like men. Ridiculous, it's Jesus.
Reform circles, not all Reform folks, and Roman Catholic. No, I want to dive into both of these. We understand that in Reform circles, there is a growing Christian nationalism as defined more along the lines of not just being patriotic and wanting a Christian America. But on the other side, are a growing number of Roman Catholics. Is there a Roman Catholic nationalism brewing?
I mean, I would say that there is an arm of Roman Catholicism that is part of that.
It's just Christian nationalism, dude. Like, whether it's funny that he has to try to, it's the Catholics. They're the ones doing that. We want to control the whole country thing, not us, not us Protestants. Okay. We're good people, right? We think that church and state should be separate, in the sense that we better not have the state sticking its dirty nose into my church, telling us how to do our church and stuff. No, we can, of course, tell the government what they need to be doing, but they can't tell us. That half needs to be separate. The other half, well, that's up for debate.
Christian nationalism movement. So, certainly you're seeing that with the return to the Latin Mass. All of the things that I think I wrote about in Shepherds for Sale, the internal battles that are happening within evangelicalism, you see a mirror image of that in Catholicism. So, there you see the Jesuits, who are a very liberal influence, have been for many decades within the Catholic Church. They're pushing.
I love it. Chixie said, is it Chixie? Yeah. Said, how dare I work all my adult life and have savings and my Social Security and my pension, and no, man, the audacity.
For the same kind of things that you see in evangelicalism. They're pushing for women priests. They're pushing for LGBTQ affirmation.
Oh, no. You're affirming somebody, which affirming just means not being an asshole to, by the way. Like, that's all that means. You're like, oh, you're affirming them? You mean treating them like a human? Yeah, I guess so. And they just don't preach that they don't deserve to go to heaven from the pulpit or whatever, and actually let them have leadership roles in the church and whatnot. But Jesus.
And so within Catholicism, you're seeing the same reaction to this liberalization, I think. And in some parts, it's been a healthy reaction and a needed correction. And then you have the overcorrection that has gone way too far.
All right.
That is actually pretty funny. The woman on this social media platform, YouTube, and that is what it is. I mean, let's be real. YouTube is a social media platform. It's a specific kind of social media, but it absolutely is social media. It's saying women need to get off social media platforms.
The young men who are in some way, shape, or form attracted to this bravado, to this tougher talk, to this masculine return sort of language, what is the church not saying to them that is causing them to say, I need to follow that, as opposed to, I want to follow my Savior? What are we missing in the church in addressing these young men?
I don't think it is what you're not saying. I think it is what you are saying, which is all the stuff that he's saying, just without the expletives in between.
Huge part of this to me is the mainstream church, the mainstream evangelical and Protestantism, which has not given men the role that they should have as leaders. I think that's true, and I think it's real. So when you tell men that their only role as leaders is to serve their wives, that's not actually a leadership role. That's saying, okay, the way that you lead is simply to be your wife's servant. And I don't think that is the biblical portrait of what male leadership is. And so
who says that? Is that something that somebody says just ever? I don't feel like I've ever heard anybody say that.
We have a mainstream church that has not given men the role that is healthy for them, that is biblical for them. And so because of that, that is why I think we have had these...
Not biblical. I'm so sick of people saying that word, biblical. It's not biblical. Okay, look, everybody thinks everybody thinks their beliefs are biblical as long as they are a Christian of some kind. And then you all just go, well, you're not a biblical Christian. And you're all just pointing at each other going, well, you don't believe what's biblical. And they're all just pointing at each other, saying the same damn word, and they're all getting their conclusions from the same Bible, yet they think everybody else's beliefs are not biblical. It's so insane. It's frustrating.
Extreme reactions. And you have then had these
cars aren't
I would say,
no, it's not biblical. Cars. That's why women shouldn't be driving cars. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Find a car in the Bible. That's what I thought.
I'm trying to decide if I
No carriages do not count. Okay.
want to go as
And iron chariots defeated God. So, and you could define a car as an iron chariot, and that makes them bad. So there's nobody should do any driving. In fact, let's all go be Amish. Okay. Let's do that.
as far as wolves in sheep's clothing, or if they are just deeply misguided theologically, but they have stepped in and said, we will give you a masculine role. We will tell you that you can lead your nation and your churches and your homes. But when they do that, they are now doing that in an extreme and unbiblical legalistic way. So like I said, to the point where they're going, women should never speak outside the home. They are arguing for things like repealing the 19th Amendment so women wouldn't have the vote. They're arguing for things like women should not work at all.
So you want women to have the same treatment as women have under Taliban rule in Afghanistan?
Something approximating that. Yeah,
Okay.
let's go to 19th Amendment. Right? Let's start there.
Something approximating that. Oh, there's that weird Rift guy. That's the one. Apparently, okay, because I was wondering, because he's got this channel called The Rift, and it's got a huge budget, right? But no viewers. And I was just like, what is going on with this guy? Why does he have like an entire studio and everything, but like has like fewer subscribers than like, I don't know, some people I know or whatever. Like, and I guess he got like in big trouble. I guess he did something really sick, and he's like a rapist. So it's no surprise that here he is on the Blaze with Nick Fuentes.
Let's just start there.
All right.
Gone.
All right,
Day
what do you
one.
thought? All right, day one gone.
It shouldn't be there.
I have
Shouldn't
a
be there.
question though.
So what I do working from home, writing in free time, part-time, they would consider that sinful. So that is to me where how we got here, is that we had a
All right.
mainstream church that did not give men the biblical role and the biblical calling that they should have had. And so then we had these counterfeits come in who have created an extreme version of what is healthy masculinity.
According to you, what you just said, it's because the church has failed to teach correctly about masculine leadership. I've heard this, but here's
What do they mean by that? Like, what do they, because with masculine, like what, just define masculine. Like that's what I want to know. Like, I feel like they couldn't define it in any kind of coherent way. Like, what even is masculine? Is it getting angry easily? Is it fighting a lot? Is it what? Like, what is the behavior that equals masculinity? Like, is it a strong silent type where you're like you're confident and you don't have to prove anything? Or is it like constant, like insecure, like I gotta be the toughest guy in the room by like showing everybody how big my biceps are and stuff, and doing risk control on random people in the room to show them that you got the control, over them. And that, and shit like that. Like, what is it? Is it ponytails like Steven Seagal? No, it's not. I don't feel like that. I'm just gonna, I answered my own question. No, it's not. Steven Seagal, like, he's a joke.
gets tricky though, Megan.
Mm-hmm.
You just said that men are told that the way to lead is
Hey, Callie, what's going on?
to serve. Well, that's not totally wrong.
Right.
Okay, so this is where the door gets cracked open, because that's not wrong, and yet it's really not leadership either, because leadership means stepping in front. Leadership says, this way, team. Leadership says, I'm going to block, I'm going to protect, I'm going to guide in this. I'm even going to decision make in this unit. It's not leadership. So
What?
in your opinion, Megan, how
But you're not allowed to be a leader. Remember, all of your decisions have to come from somebody else, all top down. You can't think for yourself. Remember, that's part of the whole Christian thing. it's so crazy how their ideology constantly like eats itself, and then they blame, hey, they're just not applying the Christian beliefs appropriately for what we need to have happen, and that's why neo-Nazis have taken over our movement. It's because of the not interpreting the Bible perfectly or whatever. That's the problem. It's not that our beliefs align perfectly with neo-Nazi beliefs. Just we just dance around them and pretend like they don't. It's the other thing that I said. My goodness. All right, Jill. Well, hey, if you feel like it, it'd be wonderful if you could bash that like button. Okay. It would help out big time. All right. And look, I designed this thing like where it took me forever, way too long. It took me to design this thing. Okay. I'm talking like 25 to 30 minutes. I had to work on it anyway. But no, if you want to support the show, you can support us by bashing the like button. But there's other things you could do too. You can become a patron at patreon.com/bunkapostate. You can donate on Cash App. Cash tag is bunkapostate. If you want to become a member, you got to subscribe and then bash that join button. Okay. Then you can email me at punkapostate@gmail.com. You can join our Discord and follow me out on the socials. All the links are below. But you know what it is. The main thing is to stay logical, stay loving, stay skeptical, and compassionate, and we will see you next time. Oh, now we're going to thank our members. Sorry, the song's kind of loud. Here you go.
Making ways to snap and grapple. Democratic socialists fighting for the poor. Trumpers lose their minds, screaming out for more. Mom, daddy, derangement syndrome. Can't say nothing nice. Gotta hate into the bone.
All right, y'all. Have a great evening. We'll see you on Thursday. Take it easy.